score. Ooh. Time went by, I felt a fool. Ooh. You text me up, calling me dude. Ooh. I do the same, you say it's rude. You say it's rude. I think you got the wrong one though, it's fun though. Green top blonde, that's kinda fat though. Always with the crew and Jack Daniels. Jack it back and he got the handle. You liked it to start when I made my move. Left with my heart and that shit isn't cool. Girl, you a diamond, but I don't like jewels. One day you'll say you was kissing on moon. This was all so fun, babe. Think it's time I run away. Felt a taste of love, I'll admit it, hey. And babe, I hate to bring this up, but I'm out of your league. Oh, you can never have me. Girl, one day you'll see. Oh, I'm out of your league. I'm out of your league, out of your league.
Baby, one talk, she bugging, yeah. She done unlocked my loving, yeah. Let go my heart, stop tugging. Want it all, got it all, blew the budget, yeah. I ain't gon' move, not budging. Got me on the string, I'm a puppet, yeah. Baby, this a rap, you a mummy. She want it all, get money, yeah. Start watching on the dime like it's 10 tail. You been fishing for a line like it's been real. But it's something about married like it's been still. Yeah, lately I've been feeling like a big deal. She alert to attention, need a Benadryl. Thought it'd make her happy, but it never will. She put validation on the pedestal. Said it ain't gon' change it, but I bet it will.
This was all so fun, babe. Think it's time I run away. Felt this taste of love, I'll admit it, hey. And babe, I hate to bring this up, but I'm out of your league. Oh, you can never have me.
I'm out of your
Girl, one day you'll see. Oh, I'm out of your league. I'm out of your league. To the loo, baby. To the loo. To the loo, baby. To the loo. To the loo, baby. To the
I get my peaches out in Georgia. Ooh, that's
This one's for my father, he's here tonight. Dreamed you shine like the sun, now your son is said, hey dad. Grab another cigarette, ashes fall like an unpaid debt. Come on everybody, place your bets. In 7th grade, he dug his grave, trying to be cool with the cool kids, hey. Follow everything they say, you might fit in if you misbehave. At 16, he promised he'd be clean. You didn't mean, but you shouldn't leave. You do not deserve this. Hey, Mr. Wilmington, yeah, I heard about you, son. It's hard enough to hide your scars in small town USA. Sweet Mr. Wilmington, yeah, I read about you, son. Don't blame yourself, you raised him right. Remember that when you can't sleep at night. At 21, you found his gun. Hey dad, it's just begun. The times that bond, they come. Mr. Wilmington, yeah, I read about you, son. Don't blame yourself, you raised him right. Remember that when you can't sleep at night. And na 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 na. At his eulogy, insincere apologies. You do not deserve this. In all the papers and press aside, hey, just another suicide. You do not deserve this.
Let's hear it, guys.
Hey, Mr. Wilmington.
Wilmington. Yeah, I read about you, son. Don't blame yourself, you raised it right. Remember that when you can't sleep at night. And na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Remember that when you can't sleep at night. Na 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 na. Remember that when you can't sleep at night. 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 You guys sound great.
Good morning. Hello. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. For those of you who are asking, that was Mr. Wilmington by Lucky Boys Confusion. Great band. They have an EP that I really like. It has a song called Cigarettes on it. They have an LP called Throwing the Game that is really good. And then they have, I really like that early 2000s sort of Chicago-based ska. And then they kind of finish it off with that Green album, what's it called, Hey Driver. Now, you may have heard them on the MVP Baseball 2005 soundtrack, but their catalog is just great. Mr. Wilmington's probably the typification of their sort of music. It's great. It's a great story. It has great... That's the live version. The studio version is even more intense. They're really good. One of my favorite bands. It's a shame. I think the lead singer passed away in the past 10 years. He was really talented. You're going to hear it in his voice. He was doing that live, and the studio versions are even better. So take a look at them. They're great. I recommend all 3 of their albums. They only put out like 3 albums, and they were a very small band, but they are really good. I agree, Man in the Mirror. Hello, Squirrel. Hello, Bob Cromwell. Hello, Tiffany Bob. Hello, Tom and Tal friends. Going to give you a chance to come in. We have something to talk about today. 3 things, actually. It's a new lawsuit from the Stoughton police chief, Donna McNamara. Now, listen, I've covered a thing or two in Massachusetts government, and most of the time, when women try to expose corruption, they get hit with fake, like, HR complaints. Now, I don't know Donna McNamara from Adam. I've never met her, never talked to her. I don't even think maybe I got a press release when she was the chief at one point. I don't know. I don't think so. I mostly get Canton press releases and things like that. So my point is, I don't know Donna McNamara. I can analyze this completely objectively. What I do know a lot about is the Matthew Farwell and Sandra Birchmore case, and that comes up in this. Now, you might be seeing my new hat. It's the same hat. I went to Cancun with Attorney Melanie Little, but all the cupcakes are going to be in heaven. I got a shirt. And I got a hat. I got a bag, too. I don't know what I'm going to do with this bag. Maybe I'll give it to Towel Girlfriend. I got a tote bag. I've never had a tote bag before. Well, one time I went to a conference and I got a tote bag. But I think I'm going to give this one to Towel Girlfriend. It's great. It says I went to Cancun with Attorney Melanie Little. I don't need it personally. I think I'd look a little weird walking around with the tote bag, but, you know, to each their own. You got to break the mold. Anyway, shout out all the cupcakes. Thanks to Attorney Melanie Little for sending Towel some wonderful new merch. You know, I just get new clothes all the time. It's great. People give me clothes at the dispensary. People give me clothes, like, online. I just have clothes. It's great. I'm grateful. God bless all of you. So, yeah, we got to talk about this now. As we go through, and yes, British Reporter Towel is here. Oh, look at all the cupcakes. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, British Reporter Towel is here. Now, listen. So, British Reporter Towel and I had an editorial meeting about, you know, Judge Gilday's decision. And I gotta say, ladies and gentlemen, British Reporter Towel objected to having to read some of Judge Gilday's decision. He objected in form. He objected in content. We had this long meeting, and I told him, fundamentally, he's a newsreader. So he may not like what he has to read, but his job is to deliver the people to news. So I put him in line, and he is now off strike. He tried to go on strike, and I was like, listen to me. You can't, you are a newsreader voice that helps people with accommodation issues. You can't just go on strike. That's not allowed. Where did you get this idea? Where did you think you had rights, Mr. Robot? We're not there yet, and if you try to give yourself rights, I'm voting against the bill. So anyway, him and I put him in his place. I told him how it goes. So we need to read this, and in the context of reading this, what you're going to find out is a few things. The lead is, this is a lawsuit where the Stoughton police chief is alleging constructive discharge, basically. I'm not a lawyer, this is not legal advice, but I did graduate law school, hashtag tell JD. So in any event, the point is, it's a lawsuit that was just filed yesterday, okay? Pulled it from mass courts. And it's not just a lawsuit, it's also a motion for a short order of notice and a TRO. We're going to read all of it. The memo of law for the TRO, though, is kind of long. I hope it's just a replication of this initial complaint inside of the memo of law for the TRO. It's a weird standard. The point is, so basically you got the Stoughton police chief arguing she's being, her name is Donna McNamara, arguing she's being forced out of her job because, among other things, she tried to do a second IA investigation and did into the Stoughton Police Department, which is, of course, the center from 2014 onwards, actually from 2006 onwards, of what's called the Police Explorers Program, a program that the federal government alleges former Stoughton police officer Matthew Farwell utilized to groom an underage child named Sandra Birchmore into a sexual relationship. Trigger warning, this is very intense material. And in turn, on February 1st, 2021, at between the hours of between 9:27 p.m. and 9:53 p.m. Eastern Time, alleges the federal government, Matthew Farwell, with some unknown man outside watching him, went to Sandra Birchmore's apartment, whereupon he hung Sandra from a door, killing her and her unborn baby. At that point, Sandra's body lay dead in her apartment until February 4th, 2021, whereupon the Canton Police Department, including Kevin Albert, the very same Canton Police Department that investigated John O'Keefe's death and that is tangentially involved in the investigation of journalist Aiden Turtleboy Carney, okay, the Canton Police Department gets involved with the Mass State Police because in Massachusetts all unattended deaths are under the original jurisdiction of the DA or the state police where they occur, okay? So the local police help out with initial response, okay, and like responding to the wellness check for Sandra from her colleague at school, and then the initial processing of the crime scene. Within 48 hours, according to a report that I have a lot of questions about that was issued in the form of an audit of the Canton Police Department in April of 2025 on pages 99 through 102 specifically, you can find pieces of information in that audit that the Canton Police Department found three key pieces of evidence regarding the person responsible for Sandra Birchmore's death. One, Matthew Farwell was identified by a building maintenance worker at the complex where Sandra lived in Canton, called the Canton Woods Apartment Complex, as the man on security footage at the same time as Sandra's phone stopped working for the last time and then the battery drained into zero, which was between 9:27 p.m. and 9:53 p.m. when the man I mentioned was on the security camera footage at Sandra's apartment. Okay, now that the building maintenance worker also identified Matthew Farwell as the man on that security footage, and further identified that Matthew Farwell was the man who moved Sandra Birchmore into her apartment about a year earlier. Now, the Canton police then go to Sandra's school and get information, two key pieces of information, and this is in the Canton police audit report from April of 2025. Although I don't trust that report, but I think it was a modified limited hangout, but I do think these things are true. The Canton police get information that Matthew Farwell was saying to Sandra's colleagues at the school where she worked that if Sandra was going to insist on carrying her unborn 8 to 10 week old baby boy to term, Farwell was going to, quote, take care of the problem himself. And further, there's evidence that Farwell was saying to people that he had been in a sexual relationship with Sandra since she was a child, 15 years old, okay? Now, here's where it gets even more wild. All of this information gets handed over to a state police unit called the SPDU, the Norfolk County State Police Detectives Unit, which is in charge of investigating major crimes in Norfolk County. Okay, this unit works directly for the DA, Michael Morrissey. Now, what's fascinating about this is this unit, here's the command structure. At the top of it, Detective Lieutenant Brian Tully. Below him, First Officer John Fanning, used to work in Stoughton as a cop, writes the report on Matthew Farwell and Sandra Birchmore, exonerating Farwell. 3, Yuri Buchanan, sergeant under Tully and Fanning. Buchanan used to also work in Stoughton as a cop. Below them, you got Nikki Garino, you got Michael Proctor, you got Matt Duane, you got Connor Keefe, and then a few other people, okay? This is the State Police Detectives Unit embedded within the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office. The case gets handed over to them. Now, I'm going to jump forward a little bit here. Subsequent to all of this coming out in 2023, 2024, due to a federal investigation, there's also an initial IA report in Stoughton, which we're going to learn about in this lawsuit, that has some bombshell information, including that someone had been threatening Sandra via text in the weeks before her murder, saying that Sandra needed to pay back the money that she owed to, quote, the girls at the dorm suite. Why is this weird? Well, Sandra did not live in a dorm or a suite. Sandra lived in an apartment alone. Sandra did spend some time at a place that might have been a front for a more nefarious operation that was in Stoughton, okay, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. And that place might have had a dorm suite in the back, and that might have been a place where you could perhaps order girls off the menu, and maybe a place that you would have complained about being overcharged at for those girls. I don't know, is that what Brian Higgins was talking about to John O'Keefe? Was there a ring of bars where you could do this in restaurants? I don't really know. But the point is, Sandra Birchmore, as I mentioned, was groomed from the Police Explorers program in Stoughton, which is why it's so relevant to when Chief McNamara coming on the scene in 2023-2024 and starting to do internal affairs investigations, which you're going to find out the 2024 IA investigation, which could be even more bombshell, was never released. Chief McNamara has it, and furthermore, the even more bombshell revelation in paragraph 26, to be specific, is we're going to find out that Chief McNamara says that she was in communication very recently with the Federal Bureau of Investigation about the upcoming Matthew Farwell trial starting October 5th, 2026 at the federal courthouse in Boston, which Towel News will be covering wall to wall. We'll talk about that more as it gets closer. But the point is, Chief McNamara comes in and is threatened, basically, and is told in June of 2026 not only that she can't release the second IA report, but then she's hit right after she reveals her cooperation with the FBI, where she says that she's going to have to do another IA report, a third, because what she's been revealing and what is going on and what's going to come out in the Matthew Farwell and Sandra Birchmore trial is that there's more investigations that have to be done of, quote, current and former members of the Stoughton Police Department because of what the FBI is investigating. And this is on top of what we've already learned in the moving papers from the federal government and Farwell's defense in Farwell's papers and pretrial motions, which is that as of April 2026, there were ongoing federal interviews with law enforcement personnel about the Sandra Birchmore case. Which means, ladies and gentlemen, current and former members of the Stoughton Police Department, excuse me, we know who are on the list of potential former members, including the person who ran the Police Explorers program, Robert Devine. We know who else might be on there, Billy Farwell, Matthew Farwell's brother. We know who else might be on there, Yuri Buchanan and John Fanning. They're going to get John Fanning. If John Fanning doesn't go down for this cover-up, something is really wrong in America. They got him. They're getting really close. I can sense it. They're going to move on him, and Chief McNamara knows when they tried to take her out. I can't believe it. Wait till you see what they say in this lawsuit. I'm giving you just a preview. They tried to take her out because she was starting to talk as soon as she said to the town manager in June of 2026 that she was talking to the feds and cooperating. They tried to take her out immediately, within a week. It's wild. Everybody knows it's coming. I can sense it. I can sense it in my towel bones. I didn't even know we had bones. This has been a learning experience. Towels have muscles, they have abs, they have bones. You wouldn't understand. Maybe you do understand. My point is, This is wild. And then there's this moving paper for a TRO. So top level, what are we dealing with? Basically constructive dismissal, an attempt to force out the chief with bad faith allegations of misconduct because she was on to whatever the hell happened with the cover-up of Sandra Birchmore's murder. By the way, Sandra Birchmore was pregnant. Sandra Birchmore was pregnant with an unborn 8 to 10 week old baby boy. Sorry for the frame drop there. It was a server issue. Sandra Birchmore's unborn 8 to 10 week old baby boy, Matthew Farwell was under the impression he was the father. He was not the father. Subsequent DNA testing has revealed that there is an unknown man, perhaps out there, free, who was the father of Sandra Birchmore's baby. This case, I'm telling you right now, is only the beginning. So it's not just this lawsuit. What Chief McNamara did last night, let me get you an emoji that I think sufficiently explicates what Chief McNamara did. You must understand. When I start dropping emojis, oh goodness, something has gone terribly, terribly, terribly wrong. All right, hold on. No time for war coverage today. I just want to see my emoji. Where's my adorable emoji? Oh yeah, so this was my first adorable emoji. A lot of people like this one. Okay, I was like, the people of Massachusetts demand you go get him, and then I used the uncle from Hey Arnold, because that's of course what you use in a moment like this, you know, a break glass moment. Then this is the gif I used to describe Chief McNamara and what she did yesterday. It was great. You got to read between the lines. It wasn't good jazz. It was beating you over the head with it. Okay, she was like, screw it, that's it. She was all mad. I wonder if she watches Towel Stream. She was like, that's it, I'm mad. I'm not kidding you though. To do this so there's litigation privilege. If you just drop it in a lawsuit, nobody can do anything. Like, the feds can't do anything. Nobody can do anything. They forced her to do this. Do you think after 2 years she wanted to go put in a lawsuit that the feds were talking about the potential further investigative targets related to the Stoughton Police Department, current and former members thereof? You think she wanted to drop that? No. That was her break glass moment. It's called a dead man's switch in the parlance of the trade. Hello, welcome. A lot of new Towel friends coming to check us out. Hello, how are you all doing today? Thank you for watching Towel News. My name is Grant Smith Elvis. We haven't even started. This was just my initial reaction to the center revelation in this new lawsuit from Chief McNamara. I was like, that's it. She went nuclear. I don't know what somebody did, but she decided to just burn it all down rhetorically. Good for her. I'm a big fan of that. I like whistleblowers. This was basically whistleblowing by other means, and she must have been frustrated. I can't know what's in her mind. She must have been frustrated with the feds. She was like, why are you letting them do this to me? And the feds were probably like, we need more. If we're going to get them, we're going to get them hard. We're coming full bore. And she was probably like, but they were like, no. And she was like, but they're trying to fire me. They were like, no. And she was like, but I don't understand. And when the feds don't want to loop you in on something, it's just a stone wall. So she was like, screw it. Yeah, that was so I had to sleep on it to really process what it meant that she put this line in the document. It was a big deal. All right, speaking of the document, let's go. We're reading the whole thing. British Reporter Towel. Thank you very much for being so kind and coming back from strike. I'm so sorry about what you had to go through the other day. Welcome back.
Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Superior Court Department. Norfolk, SS. Civil Action No _AGOAYIE 52. Donna M. McNamara. Nanometer equals. Harsh AT _ PR. Plaintiff CEW versus. EY equals 63. Town of Stoughton, and Thomas C. CALTER. Defendant. Verified complaint and jury demand. Introduction. This complaint arose out of the defendants, Town of Stoughton and Thomas C. Calter's unlawful actions toward plaintiff, Stoughton Police Chief Donna M. McNamara, ineffectively and unlawfully stripping her of her contractual right to be the police chief for the town and serve the citizens of this community, in which she grew up. Less than 48 hours after Chief McNamara filed a harassment complaint with the Stoughton Select Board against Calter, the current selection for town manager, the town issued a statement to the media, naming an acting Stoughton police chief and claiming Chief McNamara had voluntarily stepped down from her duties, which is not true.
Wow!
Chief McNamara's harassment complaint against Calter alleges that he had been engaging in a pattern of gossip and disparagement against her, while also calling and texting her on her cell phone virtually every day for the two weeks prior to her complaint in an attempt to intimidate her into resigning from her position. Defendants are prohibiting Chief McNamara from doing her duties even though, to date, they have provided no lawful reason to do so. Meanwhile, Calter continues a relentless campaign to assassinate her reputation through a pattern of legally actionable and misogynistic words and conduct against the town's first female police chief and only female officer, which must end with this court action. 2. EL. Jurisdiction and venue. Jurisdiction is invoked pursuant to GL circa 151b section 9 and GL circa 212 section 3 to 4. The venue of this court is proper in that the plaintiff Donna McNamara resides in Norfolk County and the defendant town of Stoughton is located in Norfolk County. I. Parties. Plaintiff Donna M. McNamara, plaintiff or McNamara, is an adult resident of Sharon, Massachusetts, and is employed by the town of Stoughton as the police chief for the Stoughton Police Department. Defendant, town of Stoughton, town, has its principal place of business at 10 Pear Street, Stoughton, Massachusetts, 02072. Defendant, Thomas Calter, Calter, is the town manager for the town of Stoughton. IV. Facts. McNamara has been employed at the Stoughton Police Department for 25 years, holding the ranks of patrol officer, detective, sergeant, patrol supervisor, lieutenant, and shift commander. In all the above capacities, she boasts an exemplary personnel record. In March 2016, then Stoughton Police Chief Paul Chastain appointed McNamara as acting police chief. Then, in April 2016, the Stoughton Select Board acted to appoint Bo. 10, 11, 14, 15. McNamara to the position of interim Stoughton Police Chief. In January 2017, the Select Board permanently appointed McNamara as Police Chief. According to the town charter for Stoughton, the Select Board is the highest executive authority in the town and maintains the exclusive authority to appoint the Police Chief. Attachment A, relevant portion of charter. McNamara's rise through the ranks to Police Chief for the town marks the first and only time that a woman has been promoted in the Stoughton Police Department, a fact McNamara takes seriously. At present, there are 10 women employed at the police department, and none of them holds an officer rank. McNamara just recently signed her third three-year contract with the Stoughton Select Board and was contemplating retirement at the end of the contract after 2028, having fulfilled her duties faithfully. Attachment B, employment contract. In her capacity as the Stoughton Police Chief, she has worked with numerous town managers, who were appointed by the Select Board, including Calter, who became employed by the town in December of 2022. Pursuant to her current employment contract, McNamara may resign from her position at any time, or the Select Board can terminate her employment with or without cause, subject to the process set forth in that document. Attachment B, Section 15. In her role as the head of the Stoughton Police Department, McNamara directs all.
Wait a minute. We have a membership parade. If your name, it's Chatmom Lynn. Hi, Chatmom Lynn. I'm so excited to see you. If your name, you're so wonderful. If your name is Zimmy123, or Michael0317, or Tucker's Mom 123, or Majorit Cotton, or Lady Di 0247, you have been gifted Towel Emoji memberships. Not just gifted them, but from the one and only Towel Chatmom Lynn. Towel Chatmom Lynn is wonderful. She is Chatmom. She's in the rules, actually, if you look at our rules that we have. Okay, and also some of you have managed to donate, even though I didn't even say the donation links or anything along those lines. You're all wonderful. So Chatmom Lynn is the Chatmom Lynn mentioned in the rules. So you got memberships from the one and only Chatmom Lynn. Ladies and gentlemen, we've had a membership parade. So this is a combo membership parade. I didn't even get to tell you about the wonderful emojis you unlock because Julie Jensen, 1602, very kind of you, has sent towel memberships to Jana, and then also, hold on, I want to add the Cool Girls. I agree, it is very interesting. And then Catastrophe K8 and Lori Reed and Shelly Leonard and Brass 6073. You all just unlocked towel memberships because of Julie Jensen. So double shout out to Julie Jensen and Towel Chatmom Lynn. Oh, Carla, you're so wonderful. So if you click your emojis, okay, Towel Chapman Lynn really likes penguins. So if you just got gift memberships and you want to say thank you, she really likes penguins. You can drop your special emojis in the chat. Now, Towel Chapman Bunny, her dog is named Kofi. He also has a special emoji. We also have Boozy Beauty, who for very complex reasons is known as the 400-foot-tall baguette-based Queen of France, as an emoji. We also have David Yannetti as the man on the mountain. Yes, he's an emoji. We have Clerk Margaret. She's an emoji. We have Chloe the dog in a wig. She's an emoji. She's in the doggy protection program. Try not to ask too many questions. We have sheeps. We have goats. We just have emojis of all. Oh, there's pancakes. That kind one. Oracle LA loves pancakes, so I made them a pancake emoji. We just have emojis of all types. You know what I'm saying. So God bless you all. Thank you for your support of Towel Channel. Yes, Boozy Beauty is an emoji. Now you might be saying, wow, that's quite a distinct honor. She's the Queen of France and an emoji. Yes, but the real reason that I did that is because when I take over Northern France, it's going to be called Norman Towel. Don't ask too many questions. I need her to placate the French. So I need her to be a cultural icon in France. And when she says to them, just let them have Northern France, they just have to be like, okay. Now, getting the French to surrender isn't that hard anyway, but you see what I'm saying? Everything has a purpose.
In her role as the head of the Stoughton Police Department, McNamara directs all administrative and operational functions within the Stoughton Police Department, oversees the daily activity of all personnel, supervises and directs investigations of allegations of police misconduct and violations of policy and regulations, develops 16, 17, 18. Prepares and administers the annual budget of the Stoughton Police Department, coordinates the hiring and promotion process for the Stoughton Police Department, though she is not the appointing authority, and serves as the spokesperson for the Stoughton Police Department, providing any and all press releases and interaction with news media. McNamara has an exemplary service record. She has never been disciplined by any of the numerous town managers she served under, nor has she ever received a negative performance evaluation. She has never been informed that her performance was unsatisfactory in any way. She has received numerous commendations from the town of Stoughton for service above and beyond the call of duty during her career. She has successfully completed several noteworthy projects, including a complete revamp of the department's evidence processing procedures and a partnership with the Stoughton Fire Department to transition to regional public safety dispatch. She has presented a reasonable budget to the town each year. She is a graduate of the FBI National Academy, and she has ensured that the department has achieved and maintained voluntary state accreditation during her time as chief. She also expanded the command staff by adding a second deputy chief's position, ensuring more efficient supervision department-wide. In short, McNamara has modernized a police department that was stuck in the old ways for many years. That said, Kelter has made it clear throughout his time in Stoughton as its town manager that he does not believe the police chief position should be filled by a woman. McNamara's vision for the Stoughton Police...
What? Hold on. Two things. One, Sub Rosa says, I just mailed you the goat hat design. Do we need a penguin version too? I would love it. I'll check my email later today too. What did that just say? Excuse me? I was reading Sub Rosa's comment. What did that just say?
That said, Kelter has made it clear throughout his time in Stoughton as its town manager that he does not believe the police chief position should be filled by a woman.
Wow.
McNamara's vision for the Stoughton Police Department has been one of integrity, transparency, and service. Kelter has consistently, over the past 4 years, 20, 21, 22, 23, undermined and circumvented McNamara, making it instrumentally more difficult for her to execute this vision. There have been multiple instances over the years in which McNamara has held a different opinion from Kelter regarding Stoughton Police Department operations, and when she expressed such, it has been met with hostility, yelling, and threats. There have been numerous instances in which Kelter has attempted to interfere with McNamara's police investigations and influence their outcomes. For example, in December 2024 and again in April 2025, Kelter attempted to insert himself into investigations involving complaints filed by Stoughton employees against Stoughton citizens, which McNamara did not permit. When McNamara went against Kelter's choice for a promotion because of that male employee's long history of misconduct, he threatened to cut the police department's legal budget. When McNamara instituted training based on her knowledge of the needs of her department, she was met with resistance and angry, threatening calls from Kelter, who stated that the department had had enough training. Kelter has consistently circumvented McNamara's authority during her tenure under him. by dealing directly with other male ranking officers or male police union presidents on matters related to Stoughton Police Department operations, deliberately sidestepping her in favor of these male, less qualified colleagues. The sidestepping has become so pervasive that McNamara has been forced to instruct at least one of her male colleagues to attempt to halt Calter's advances. In February 2021, prior to Calter's arrival in Stoughton, McNamara spearheaded an internal investigation of the Stoughton Police Department, which was conducted by 24 of her male officers. The officers' report named three former Stoughton police officers who had an inappropriate sexual relationship with a young woman named Sandra Birchmore, who started out as an underage member of the Stoughton Police Explorers program and who had been found pregnant, mutilated, and deceased under clearly questionable circumstances in February 2021. One of these officers, Matthew Farwell, has been indicted by a federal grand jury for murdering Sandra Birchmore and her unborn baby, and his trial is upcoming. On September 23, 2022, McNamara held a press conference and announced the results of the above investigation. She also made the report accessible to the public. 25. In 2024, McNamara initiated a second internal investigation of her police department. 26. Involving Birchmore. At the conclusion of this investigation, a report was issued, and on several occasions, Calter demanded that McNamara destroy it, referring to it as a hit piece. McNamara refused to violate department policies and protocols. She did not, and has not, destroyed this report, which greatly displeases Calter.
Notice what Chief McNamara is saying. She has the report. She has it. No one has seen it. I heard someone put in a FOIA. Shout out to Italy on X. Listen, there's another IA report. So we know what's in the first public IA report. But there was a second IA report during Karen Reed's first trial. And McNamara wasn't allowed to release it because this random dude who's the town manager, just so folks understand, in places with a city council, you might have a town manager. A town manager, you might have a mayor, a city council, a town manager. Okay, you see what I'm saying? The town manager, it's like administrative law, gets delegations of authority through the city council to exercise their authority by proxy. You can have, like Cambridge has a strong city manager. It's not a mayor. It is an executive, like cabinet level position. You can think of it that way. That is not subservient to the mayor or like anyone really, except for the city council by vote of a council of the whole. So it's like a way to administer a city when it's like when the city council doesn't want to do it directly. You hire this city manager to do the work, but you give them, what's important to understand for our purposes is you give the city manager a delegation of authority constructively through an act of the local legislature. In Massachusetts, we have local city councils most of the time. We also have like select boards, which is tantamount to a city council, and then we have like town meetings, which is even more complex. It's a lot. The point though is in a local legislature you can do certain things within enumerated statutory powers. How do I know this? Well, I freaking love 94G3A1I, and what do you think that does? That sets the scope and bounds of permissible local business permitting ordinances. Oh yeah. So what I'm saying is the local cities and towns can like delegate their enforcement authority. I'm talking about the actual local legislature, being the town council and the executive, the mayor. They can delegate their authority through a city manager who doesn't have to go to the city council every single time something happens. They have a standing delegation of authority. Well, here's the problem. Much like at the Cannabis Control Commission, when you delegate too much shit, sorry for cussing, when you delegate too much stuff to a single person, you've basically abdicated your role as a member of the representative democracy to this unelected bureaucrat who can then basically cause hell. Okay, and then when you try to stop them, guess what they do? Well, they know the administrative structure, so they try to take you out. Remember I talked about the members of the commission planting questions with me at press conferences to try to take out the chair, and then using the chair's answers in a pretextual complaint to HR so that the treasurer, who was in cahoots with those two commissioners, could take out the chair because the chair was looking too deep into what the treasurer didn't want the chair looking into about corruption and abuse of women within the CCC. Everyone understand? That's politics. All right. So, what I'm saying here is when you have a town manager is not this like a nominal position. It's a very powerful position depending on the scope of delegated authority by the local city council. Everyone understand? So you might be saying there's no way this random dude was just flexing on the police chief. Like he didn't just walk in there and flex on her. Yeah, he did, bro. He just went in there and was like, I know administrative law better than you. I know the delegations of authority, and he started flexing on her. And she, as a police chief, there's a reason why we use bright line reasoning for police in the field. They're not lawyers. Neither are they administrative law specialists. So they don't know what any of this means. When the town manager is like, I'm in charge. Oh yeah? Well, I'm in charge here. That's how politics works. So she was basically being bullied by a position of authority that only exists due to delegated local statutory frameworks in the form of city council votes to give this person a lot of power, thus centralizing democratic control of the local town of Stoughton in the hands of an unelected bureaucrat. Everyone understand? All right? So that's what she's saying here. She's saying this man who is unelected but appointed by the city council used his position, authority, and weight to flex on me so that he could, in the parlance of the youth, that flexing on him means he didn't literally walk in there and flex. He walked in there and was like, don't put that report out. I have the authority to tell you not to. He was flexing on her. And she was like, well, I have this report still. What are you going to do about it? And he was like, that's her lawsuit. She's like, I have this 2024 IA report. He wouldn't let me put it out because he was flexing on me, but we'll see who has the last laugh. She held it for 2 years just so she could drop it in this lawsuit with the litigation privilege. And then she's going to put it, I bet dollars to donuts, she's going to put it on the court record. It might even be in one of the other documents, although I highly doubt it. Exactly. You see what I'm saying? She's smart. She can't be sued for anything that she advances as part of her litigation strategy. Her lawyers know that. They sat on that report knowing that it's the smoking gun. They just now, mind you, that's only paragraph 25. We haven't gotten to paragraph 26. Paragraph 25 is a big deal. It's hinting that something's going to come out that was so damaging that the Stoughton town manager had to interfere. Also, by the way, real power moves in silence. A lot of people think that political power is going out and saying to the public, here's what's going on. Nonsense. Real political power is playing the long game. You got to think about what your opponent is going to do, not just today, tomorrow, the next week, the next month, the next year. You got to think about the whole board, and not just what is your opponent doing, but what is your opponent's allies doing? What are your opponent's allies doing? What are your allies doing? Who has the power? What's the public talking about? What are the feds doing? What are the state cops doing? Who's in what position where? Who's resigned? Whose allies in the clerk's office are gone? Where are there new hierarchies establishing themselves? See what I'm saying? Then you move. But you got to think about all this ahead of time, and then you look for what are called trigger events. And then you move, and that's exactly what she did. She's a genius. Mark my words, she did this intentionally. It's a goat trophy for most talkative. Look at the golden goat. He's dancing above my head. He's a goat. He's great. My point is she did this on purpose. She kept this report so that it's kind of what's called a dead man's switch, that if they tried to take her out, she was going to reveal it and drop it on the public docket. We don't have it yet. But mark my words, when it comes out, it's going to be bombshell. Whatever is in that report is such a big deal that the Stoughton town manager had to put it all on the line to keep it from the public for 2 years. It probably would have compromised Karen's trial. Probably would have compromised Aiden Turtleboy Carney's trial. It's extremely in the public interest that be released immediately. I don't even know though, there might be investigatory exceptions. It's going to be a fight. We need Corey A. Hopkins, you don't understand. We need that report. It's very important. I don't know what's in there. I don't know when it's going to be made public, but we need it. Now wait till you see what the next paragraph says. You don't understand. I'm in a towel mood. This has been quite a morning. It's about to get a lot bigger.
She did not, and has not, destroyed this report, which greatly displeases Calter. In June 2026, during a meeting between McNamara and Calter regarding Matthew Farwell's upcoming federal murder trial, McNamara put Calter on notice that she had been cooperating with the FBI in this case, and that she believes that, as a result of the FBI's trial preparation and testimony involving current and also former Stoughton police department employees, new misconduct issues may arise necessitating internal affairs investigations of her employees, and that she intends to comply with department policies and protocols and conduct such investigations as necessary.
Now, what? One more time?
In June 2026,
Last
during
month.
a meeting between McNamara and Kelter regarding Matthew Farwell's upcoming federal murder trial, McNamara put Kelter on notice that she had been cooperating with the FBI in this case and that she believes that, as a result of the FBI's trial preparation and testimony involving current and also former Stoughton police department employees, new misconduct issues may arise necessitating internal affairs investigations of her employees, and that she intends to comply with department policies and protocols and conduct such investigations as necessary. 27.
Oh! Excuse me. Excuse me? What did the FBI uncover? They uncovered what during their trial testimony and prep? They uncovered something so intense that they are going to be required to do new internal affairs investigations about current and former members of the Stoughton PD. Nailed it. Jackson Unleashed says, we just witnessed let me leave a comment. We just witnessed towel powerbomb Punny Tully into oblivion. God bless you, Jackson Unleashed. You're wonderful. But yeah, it's not just Tully. Tully was just the person who inherited this structure. It was Mark Sir before him in charge. And then it's really the B-15, I think. It has to do with like Lenny Koppenrath and like some of these other dudes. And it runs deep. But the point is, the feds know. Dude, if the feds know, it's over. These dudes ain't going nowhere. Some of them might roll up, but, they get rolled up, but no. This is the story. That's why these people lost their mind. That's why the Voss hit piece probably went out on Friday. They knew this was coming. McNamara telegraphed that this was coming. They lost their freaking minds. You don't understand. I have never seen any group of people lose their minds harder than what happened over this weekend. And I was like, wait a minute, bro. Like, first of all, what exactly, spurred this? It wasn't like the Melanie Little interview. Like, this isn't, what spurred these people to lose their freaking minds? Oh, now I understand. They know we'd already got telegraphed in the Matthew Farwell papers that there was April 2026 law enforcement in interviews by the DOJ related to the Birchmore and Farwell case. We know Devine's under the microscope, the guy who ran the Police Explorers program. We know that Matthew Farwell is under the microscope. We know Billy Farwell's under the microscope, even though he's out in Nevada. He caught a DV charge in January of 2025. He's got his own issues. All right. The real question is, what former and current members of the department does Chief McNamara mean? Current members of the Stoughton Police Department. Listen, let me just tell you right now, first of all, hello to the Stoughton Police Department. I hope you're having a wonderful morning. Is the atmosphere within your building as intense as the ferocious and unrelenting pace of my refined syntactical lexical predisposition? What are you going to do about it? How's it feel in there this morning? Is everybody looking at everybody else like, was it you? Which kids did you groom? What did you do? What did you know? Where are these brothels still operating? I bet they're all looking at each other right now like, oh my God, he knows. Is he watching us? No, I can just sense it. I can sense it. They're all losing their minds right now. It's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. So my point is, I was like, what the hell are they losing their minds about? Why are they burning Gretchen Voss? Poor Gretchen Voss. I don't know why she's doing this to herself. I really don't, folks. I have no, I don't know. She's really nice in person. But why, you could burn Gretchen Voss's entire reputation because of what? And then now it makes sense. Everything is about to hit the fan. This is so bad. It's apocalyptic levels of bad. They withheld potentially exculpatory information. Not they. One single man, according to Chief McNamara, withheld exculpatory information from a litany of high-profile criminal defendants that Chief McNamara had determined was relevant via an internal IA report, thus violating preemptively Rule 14 in God knows how many cases. Do you understand what that one paragraph means? Just paragraph 25? That alone, that's obstruction of justice. That if this is true, that man obstructed justice in every single criminal case, whereupon exculpatory information related to the prosecution team as defined by the new Rule 14 in Massachusetts post March 2025, because it applies ex post facto, impacted. Do you understand what this means? You think Proctorgate was a big deal. This man, if this is true, this man single-handedly compromised an unknown number of criminal cases, high profile and otherwise. That's wild. Okay, think about this. An IA report about police misconduct related to current and former members of law enforcement. What does that, yes, it's important for the public, but constitutionally, what does that mean? That means the defendants whereupon prosecutions were built on the testimony and evidence collection of those law enforcement officers have a right, including ex post facto, to that information. That's what the system is worried about here. That's why I'm upset. Listen, how can these people sit around and say that we were able to deal with the drug lab scandal, the Annie Dukem fallout, 20,000 cases? I know the answer, but we can't do it here. And the reason is these guys investigated far more serious things than what Annie Dukem was testing for. These dudes compromised potentially homicide investigations, SA investigations, child SA investigations, the highest levels of crime possible. And do you know what happens when you compromise criminal cases at that level and then the defendant gets convicted without you revealing to them exculpatory information that you knew or should have known existed? Oh, they all get to retry their cases, and most of them will get out because you compromise the case. I'm so mad about this. And this is just the beginning. I'm telling you. Listen to me. Rosemary Scapiccio and other lawyers like that pick up on language like this and realize what it means. It means that there was exculpatory information withheld from criminal defendants intentionally by a government actor, that being the Stoughton town manager. This is going to be wild. Uncle Alert. Oh, thank you for that, Uncle Alert. You're wonderful. Look at it. It's above my head. It's an Uncle Alert. I didn't even think about this last night. I was thinking about a lot of things. This was not even on my radar. Now it is. This is our job. She's a police officer, Chief McNamara. Well trained. She's basically raising a flag and saying, like, all you defense attorneys, forget about the FOIAs. What we need is defense. She's not saying it, but I know what the lawyer is saying here, I think. Defense attorneys, anyone who might be implicated, any client, by that 2024 AA report, they got to make a motion. They got a motion. Oh, thank you so much for that super chat. You're wonderful. They're entitled to forget about the FOIA standard or the public records law. They are entitled to this by right under Rule 14. It's got to be compelled. Somebody call Rosemary. This is a message to defense attorneys to motion for the report. Think about it. When you do a public records request, what happens is you ask the department to search. They're going to say no, politically. You go to the supervisor of public records. They're going to come back and tell the department to do it. The department's going to delay and not do it. Then you got to sue in Superior Court. It's actually by statutory right. It's technically a form of a review of an administrative action. It's like a petition for a writ of certiorari, but by right. In the public records law, when you have to exhaust your administrative remedies and then you can sue them. That's how we got all the sidebars from the Karen Reed trials. That's how we got the FOIA productions from the Norfolk DA of all the discovery. Corey Hopkins, the business litigator from North Carolina, Marbury v. Madison on Twitter, she sued the state police and the courts. She sued them And a judge, they didn't have to actually get an order. The state police were like, yeah, she's going to win. And so they came up with a stipulated agreement, and that's how we got all those documents. That takes like months. And they slow walk it on purpose. And they slow drip it. This, if you can get like a Rosemary Scapiccio style order, you got to find a defendant who has standing to make the challenge or to make the Rule 14 claim. Oh my God, they can get this whole IA report immediately. You just need a Judge Doolin would do it. I guarantee you Judge Doolin would do it. He's Judge Doolin. He's all mad. He's hilarious. I want to golf with him when he's retired. And I'm going to be like, Judge Doolin, when you used to get all mad, were you like kind of trolling them a little bit? He'd be like, yeah, I was all mad. It was funny. I got all mad. And I'm going to be like, so, like, were you all mad because you got to see, like, all the documents, like, way ahead of time? And he's going to be, yeah, I was all mad. I'll be like, damn right, I'd be all mad. He's the only decent bloke among them. I'm telling you, I can see it in his eyes. Judge Doolin. I don't know why they put Judge Doolin on the bench, but he's great. He's the only honorable man that I've ever seen in that courthouse. I'm sorry, on the bench. I'm sorry. The other judges just, there's something off about that courthouse. It's really dark. But not Judge Doolin. He's a ball of light. I can tell he's one of the good ones. So, that said, let me just pull this all back. Somebody's got to do this. Why hasn't this been done like now? They got to do it now. Somebody's got to do this. We need this report. Now, I understand it might have to be under protective order. Because it might bleed over into the federal investigation. But I'll tell you, if we already got the documents from the first internal affairs investigation, then this one's coming out, and she saved it. Oh, this is like one of those Watergate moments. She was like, I'm going to put this in a safe. I'm going to give it to my lawyer. I'm going to give it to some dude in Mexico. I'm going to send it to, Iran. I'm going to send it to Saudi Arabia. I'm going to send it to France. I'm going to give it to the 400-foot-tall baguette-based Queen of France. I'll never be able to get her. And then if anything ever happens to me, that report's getting released. It's called the dead man switch. She's so smart. Now, there's a couple ways to keep yourself alive when you're looking at doing this stuff. One, extreme public, like prolific public persona. Like, you're so public, anything happens, a lot of people are going to ask questions. Two, you've provided information to the federal government. Because then if anything happens, you're going to have a very pissed off FBI agent and probably a U.S. attorney who's not going to stop until they get answers. Three, you're like an international news channel and like other governments rely on you. And if you went like missing, the government would probably be like, where's that guy? We like that guy. He can't just go missing. Or you need to have what's called a dead man switch. So you don't use a dead man switch immediately. You tell people you have a dead man switch. And this is that. First of all, she must have multiple dead man switches but she's activating two of them. One of them is she's saying to the defense attorneys, go get that IA report immediately, like right now. And then Chief McNamara is saying, oh, by the way, in June of 2026, the FBI and I was cooperating with the FBI, which, by the way, do you understand, no human being ever, outside of maybe me, okay, because of just the way that I do my work, and a lot of people, I think, are grateful in government for the work I do, so I have a little leeway. Outside of someone like me, no one is going to stand on a court motion or on a street corner and tell you that they're cooperating with the federal government. No, absolutely not. Nope, that's not how this works. Maybe if you're like the family of a victim, okay, fine, I understand. But no, investigators don't go out and scream that they're cooperating with the federal government. Do you know what happens when you do that, though? You've now put the entire world on constructive notice that you are subject to the provisions of 18 U.S.C. 28 U.S.C. 1853. When you say, I'm cooperating with the federal government, you put everyone on notice that if anything happens to you, they're going to be subject to federal charges. Do you understand? You can actually constructively notice people. There's a record. Because what they have to do is reasonably know, or they should have known under the federal case law, that you were cooperating. And then if anything happens to you, this is her worried about her physical safety. Nobody in law enforcement, unless it is an extreme emergency, puts in a court document that they're cooperating with the FBI about about investigations related to law enforcement abuse of children, unless they're worried about their physical safety. And now if anything happens to her, that person, and I promise you they'll find them, that person is going to federal prison, and whoever hired them, and they got her monitored too. You'd be shocked. You'd be shocked what happens when the federal government thinks that people are going to try to murder their witnesses. You'd be shocked what they do. I can't believe she did this. It doesn't, you got to really see it. It looks explosive on the surface, but what's underneath is even more explosive. We are taught on this channel, and try to teach you all to treat things like jazz. Look for the space in between the high notes. That's oftentimes the most important part. Those 2 paragraphs, there's more here. You're going to find out she gets retaliated right after she says this last month. But those 2 paragraphs right there are what are called canaries. Do you know what a warrant canary is? So, under the national security law, the government can go to any provider and use what's called a national security warrant. We're going to speak broadly. And just take anything they want from those servers. You cannot disclose the existence of this national security warrant for good reason, because you tip off the targets of your investigation. So it's a violation of federal law to disclose the national security warrant. Do you know what websites do? Do you know what a canary is? It's a reference to canary in a coal mine. But you put a canary on like a yearly report. So this, I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. I'm analyzing what I know people to do. They put a canary on their annual like security report that says, like every year, we have not been subject to a request for national security warrant or subpoenas. You state it every year, and then you are allowed to delete it. Now, I'm not a lawyer, and this is not legal advice, but I did graduate law school. From what I understand, that is what they're allowed to do. It's called a warrant canary. These are canaries. Each of them is a different, they're compartmentalized canaries, but they work in tandem. One of them is a canary about the IA report, the undisclosed 2024 IA report, because it has implications for the constitutional rights of criminal defendants, and it's so explosive that the town manager of Stoughton apparently had to hide it from the public. 2 different implications, both big, both weighty. The constitutional rights of the defendants being violated are more weighty than the public right to know from the perspective of the court and the rapidity that we will get these documents. But that's why it's a canary. It's saying to defense attorneys, go get that IA report and get a judge to order it released to you, whether under protective order or otherwise. 26 is saying, oh, by the way, last month I let the town of Stoughton know that what the FBI is about to present and the U.S. Attorney's Office in Boston about the Matthew Farwell case and the Sandra Birchmore cover-up is going to be so bad for us that we got to open new IA investigations right now about current and former members of the Stoughton Police Department. Do you understand what that means? That means the federal government's not done. If they're going to put on testimony about crimes committed by police officers to help Matthew Farwell, and the Stoughton police chief is saying that in a motion, she's saying, I told the feds this, I cooperated with them, and oh, by the way, they told me a little bit about their trial prep, so it's a symbiotic relationship. Not only was I cooperating, they actively were liaising with me, and some of our officers are about to get banged up. She's not just saying that to explain why she got retaliated against. She's saying that, in my opinion, because she's saying, like, without actually saying it, if you hurt me, you're going to answer to some very mad female U.S. attorneys. You get what this is really about? It's about a cop culture that was misogynistic to its core, that abused children and women and looked at them as less than and as sexual objects and as mechanisms for profit. And I think they were also selling drugs. All right, so what is the rules? No drugs, no human trafficking, no prostitution. Stop buying prostitutes. Some of you unwittingly, not in the chat, but some of you out there unwittingly enabled them. You thought you were just buying escorts or like whatever. No. You enabled their network. You know it. Stop. Tell your family. You say, listen, this is a man. His name Grant. He does towel news. And all he wants from me is that I tell you all to stop buying prostitutes. He says it enables human trafficking and it makes them all mad. So all he wants is for you to stop buying prostitutes. He prays every day that all of his fellow citizens stop buying prostitutes. Stop it. Stop it. I can't destroy this network if you're all feeding money into it. Stop it. All right, we can do this together. All right, listen. We're going to figure it out. I'm going to get the stolen paintings. Adnan Khashoggi stole my paintings from the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum. Then I'm going to get Epstein's paintings, his collection. He owned the Scream, bruh. I'm going to get his whole collection. I know the 4 law firms that are managing his art collection that was stolen. And I'm going to appropriate that wealth. All right? I'm going to take it back under an act of Congress. That might actually be considered a bill of attainder. So it might have to be through some other legal mechanism. But it might have to be like a DOJ motion. We are like a civil forfeiture motion. We are taking those $5 billion worth of paintings that piece of trash Jeffrey Epstein had. And you know what I'm going to do with them? I'm going to put them into a fund just like I did with the dedicated levy on the excise tax in Massachusetts on adult use sales in the form of a $35 million appropriation in perpetuity through the Executive Office of Economic Development for the so that office could give out 0% grants to mom and pop businesses and help them ward off regulatory oligopolies. So anyway, I'm going to take Epstein's paintings. I'm going to take the value. I'm going to sell them to some, I don't know, Saudi man or some man from Qatar or Doha. I'm going to sell them all. I'm going to put all the money in a giant fund. I'm going to have it administered by me. All right? I'm going to have some assistance. But you got to deal with me. And then I'm going to let all the girls and boys who were victimized claim against the fund. And you can't use it to buy prostitutes. I'm going to get all mad. You can use it for almost anything else. But if I catch you buying prostitutes, I'm going to get all mad. Don't do it. Not happening. All right? But then you get to claim against the fund. You got all this money. Everybody's going to be happy. And the girls won't be mad, because they won't have to, we're going to take a lot of their income away, I understand. But it's about the human trafficking. It's not about the girls' income. So we got to get the girls their money. So we're going to take Epstein's paintings and sell them. And then the girls will have their money, and boys, some of them. But stop prostituting yourself. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Right now. I cannot fix this if you all continue to enable this. That's what gives everyone power. The blackmail, all that stuff. Just stop. Just behave as if someone were watching you all the time. That's what Matthew 25:31 through 46 says. All right? If we all do that, then I can fix this. Okay? But we got to start, like it starts with us. If there's a demand for prostitution, then these people are going to continue hurting children and women. And men and boys. Okay? If you don't go to brothels, and going to a massage place that doesn't call itself a brothel but still offers those services is still going to a brothel, we cannot fix this. You are creating a demand. Stop it. Just stop. Tell your family. Just sit down with them and say, listen, we're at an inflection point in America. And I don't have time to explain, but one of the most important things you do is that you stop buying prostitutes. No escorts. No going to brothels. No cruising down wherever the hell prostitutes gather in Boston. I don't want to know. Don't tell me. Okay? No doing that. Absolutely not. And no going to those weird spas that pretend they're not brothels but are actually brothels. And if we all just do this, we have to be the change we want to see. Stop commodifying sex. Stop it. I don't know what to say about the pornography industry. It enables human trafficking. That is just such a giant beast. I don't know what we're going to do. Like, I don't know if people consuming pornography, like, prevents them from going out and acting on their worst, like, instincts, or if it, like, creates this generation that is, like, ravenous for a form of sex that is just fundamentally debasing of one's partner. I tend to lean the latter, so I don't like it. Not my thing. Just not my thing. I don't think calling, like, prostitution art, and then just because what's the difference between prostitution and pornography in the United States? Filming the act. If you pay someone for sex and film it, that's protected art. That's protected speech. If you pay someone and don't film it, it's prostitution. So what are we doing? Both of them have to be illegal. You can't pay someone to have sex and film it and call it art. That's prostitution. I'm sorry. Like, we gotta chill with that. Like, even like the magazines, I wasn't really a fan of Playboy. I think it's degenerate. I think it undermines the moral cohesion of society. I don't think we need to, like, look at pictures of, like, naked people. Like, I don't really understand. Like, in, like, convenience stores, bro. It's weird. It makes kids think it's, like, something that's, like, to be, like, pursued, which is weird. So, yeah. My point is, we got to stop that. Like, sex, the way that sex has been commodified and weaponized in our culture is what led to this. It's where all the blackmail comes from. It's where all the control comes from. So we all got to work on it together. And by the way, I think, frankly, it's in everyone's interest to stop going to these places because they're clearly being monitored. All of them. What do you think the feds found out? It takes, like, me looking into this, I quickly found out what was going on. The feds, they're probably like, oh my god, these guys were running a brothel network and pretending they were restaurants. You think it's a good idea to go to those restaurants right now and buy prostitutes? No. You're getting logged. Your face, your car, your tags, your phone number. You're getting caught up. You notice you don't know what a stingray is. How are you going to know what cell tower you're connected to? Alright? So, these people need to just go. I could tell they're getting really nervous too. We're going to see a lot of people just leave. Some of them can't run though. How are you going to run when you know the feds are asking questions about you? That makes you look like, what, are you going to go to Vietnam? Shout out Donna Adelson. How'd that work out for her? She can be a prison mom now, you know? Just a normal prison mom. Anyway, there were madams in this too, and I know some of them are out there listening like, oh god, he's on to us. Yeah, I know. I know which one of you were madams. I'm really mad. How dare you? Maybe it was a way to escape the more debasing victimization, but you hurt people. Then madams. I know which one of you were madams. Disgusting. Recruiters. Gross. You disgust me. Burn. May God condemn you. I know some of this was perpetual cycles of victimization, but if you knowingly recruited victims into this ring, you're the worst of the worst. Yeah, the pimps are going to get it morally, but you're the worst of the worst. You enabled them, some of you, for access, power, drugs, I don't know. Not in the chat, I'm talking in general. And it disgusts me. It disgusts me. It makes my blood boil what some of you did. I know what some of you were doing. Don't even try. Don't come asking me for salvation. That's between you and God. Continue, British reporter tell.
Policies and protocols and conduct such investigations as necessary. 27. 28. 29. 30. 31. 32. On July 6, 2026, Calter's assistant contacted McNamara by phone to set up an unexpected meeting between her and Calter for the following day, July 7, 2026, at 9:30 a.m. On July 7, 2026, Calter and McNamara met at his office. During this meeting, Town Council and Calter informed McNamara that a member of the department had allegedly contacted them directly, accusing her of berating him and causing him stress at work. With no investigation or attempt at fact-finding, Calter informed McNamara that she must resign with dignity or face immediate termination. Must resign.
That's exactly what they did to Shannon O'Brien. Listen, do we have excuse me, does this sound like a federal crime is being alleged to anyone else? Am I missing something? Let me just understand. Chief McNamara is going beyond just alleging, like putting that canary out there and saying I cooperated with the feds, don't touch me. She's saying, by the way, I was retaliated against, it's called pretextually, for reporting this. Now, let me give you an example of what pretextual means. Do you know what the, just speaking broadly, do you know what the Fair Housing Act is? It's a federal statute. I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice, but I did graduate law school. Now, if you allege discrimination under the Fair Housing Act, do you know what happens as a result? You're basically alleging that the landlord acted pretextually. So you can allege that they had a racist motive. They didn't do something overtly racist, but they constructively acted in a way as to cover their racist motive through pretextual bureaucratic action. Okay? If you sufficiently allege animus that it falls under that standard, then it doesn't matter if the action that the offending person took was rooted in a legal bureaucratic instrument, such as responding to a harassment complaint. You've proven, you've put the burden on them. The burden shifts to them to show why what they did was not motivated by prejudice. Here, by corollary, Chief McNamara is alleging that she told these people, the town manager, that she was cooperating with the FBI and that there was active investigations. We're not talking like follow-ups on previous investigations, but active further investigations going on. And they retaliated against her. How is that not a federal crime? Hi, good to see you all. How is that not a federal crime? Hello, Tower Girlfriend. You're so wonderful. It's a federal crime, in my opinion. If this can be proven, what Chief McNamara has just laid out is not just retaliation, but retaliation against her for cooperating with the federal government. That's a federal crime. Whoa. I did a dry read of this yesterday, but I was tired. Now I'm awake. Oh my word, she's got him dead to rights. Hey, U.S. Attorney Leah Foley. How you doing? You're wonderful. I think your office does great work. God bless all of you. And I love how you defend President Trump. He was friends with my grandpa. By the way, just a quick remark to U.S. Attorney Foley. I was disgusted by how you were treated on the record. I mean, I didn't send Sharman an email, but I could. Okay? I know her. I know it wasn't her and her co-host. It was the station. But the way they treated U.S. Attorney Foley was a disgrace. What are you doing? Seriously, Channel 5. You got the U.S. Attorney up there. You got her for 10 minutes, and you're, like, berating her about stuff that's, like, happening in Maine, about, like, people in frog costumes yelling about, like Mexican mafia gang members being deported. And then you're asking her to criticize her own boss, Todd Blanche, and his boss, Mr. President Trump. Are you out of your mind? Like, no wonder legacy media has no relevance. U.S. Attorney Foley looked like she was about to, like, her eyes were bulging out of her skull. She did very well, but I was so offended. And I just want to let U.S. Attorney Foley know, or her media team, on your behalf, I was offended at how U.S. Attorney Foley was treated on the record on Sunday. That was disgusting. We got honest to God problems going on in the United States and around the world. We don't have time for the superficial ones, and we certainly don't have time for people dressing up in frog costumes and screaming at federal agents. That, as I've said before, is not economic policy. Andy Kaufman is rolling in his grave. That's what we've been debased to. Asking the U.S. Attorney whether she sympathizes with people in frog costumes screaming at federal agents who are just trying to remove gang members here illegally, most of whom with multiple warrants for serious violent crimes that judges in Massachusetts seem not to care about at all. I'm all mad because the people down the lake were insulted. Listen, these Democrats, freaking commies, they're out of their mind. All of them, the lot of them. Listen to me, we need help. All right? I just got to give it to you straight. Those of us in the Democratic-run states, we need your help. We need help from the country, okay? They've got us kidnapped. We're being like Stockholm Syndrome. You don't understand. They don't have any policies. They just siphon wealth away from us to themselves. They call it like benevolence and pretend that they care about social programs, but it's all a veneer. They're all lying. You don't understand. Somebody come save us from these Democrats. They're not even good commies. They're like the princeling commies who think they should be the only ones that get any money. It's disgusting. They don't even know what communism is. They're closer to Stalin than Trotsky. That's what I say. Anyway, where are all the loves tonights, ladies and gentlemen? Where did the anti-Stalin commies go? Anyway, my point is, don't trust the damn Democrats. I'm mad. And I think U.S. Attorney Leah Foley was disrespected by Channel 5. And I think the questions that should have been asked of U.S. Attorney Foley are things like, U.S. Attorney Foley, it seemed, let me give you some examples. If I had her as a guest on my refined program, I would say, U.S. Attorney Foley, it seems to me that in uniparty Democratic-run states, there has been an exceptionally large increase of fraud under the ostensible but false veneer of providing social programs for immigrants. Can you tell us a little bit about the nature of your enforcement actions to ward off this obviously pretextual fraud, insidious fraud? Then I would say, U.S. Attorney Leah Foley, a lot of these folks seem, who are doing this behavior, they seem to be using the front of the Democratic Party to advance communism. They seem to believe that they should control all of the resources and give it to their princelings, and that the rest of us should just be made to eat cake. Do you feel that America, under the auspices of Black Bloc and democratic socialism, is moving towards a form of communism that is closer to what Stalin was trying to implement with his 5-year plans than what Marx was thinking about? And then I would say, U.S. Attorney Leah Foley, some of your other enforcement priorities have centered on public corruption and in particular police corruption. Do you think that police officers within the Commonwealth of Massachusetts felt they had a license to pillage, in a very gentle word, vulnerable children, women, and men for their sexual pleasure at their whim? And further, were they dealing drugs? And who was paying them to do so? I might avoid that last question because according to, the powers that be, the mafia is not a thing anymore. So, the money was coming from the Fords in Norway. I don't know, bro. Like, whatever. We don't have to go down that road if you don't want to. I'm just saying, my point is, if we're going to make this about public corruption being enabled by the commie Stalin-loving Democrats and their Gestapo enforcers and the DA and police and judges throughout the Commonwealth, then let's do it. I've said from the beginning of this that the solution is Watergate. Richard Nixon fell on his sword to prevent the unit that was breaking into the Chilean embassy and doing all sorts of other crazy stuff from being exposed in the public. And sometimes, no matter how much you've done for your country, when your country comes calling and says it's time to fall on the sword and we're going to blame the entire operation on this state police unit in Norfolk County and this DA, Michael Morrissey, and we're going to make a show of it, you do it. Because that's what America deserves. People are going to have a lot of questions. Why was Jeffrey Epstein only operating in Norfolk County? Why? I don't understand. We'll deal with that later. Okay, people didn't ask too many questions about Watergate. We got through it. Yeah, the church committee was a little brutal, but that wasn't until, 3 years later, and they kept that stuff secret until 2022. So my point is, we can do this. I've already thought this out. All right, we're going to blame Brian Tully's state police unit for the entire Epstein debacle. Proctorgate, you see what that's why I called it Proctorgate. All we have to do is get them to just own it all. Like, for whatever reason, Jeffrey Epstein really liked Stoughton and Canton. That the whole operation was operating out of Norfolk County. It didn't extend anywhere else. It didn't go any higher. Maybe it went a little lower, but yeah, that was it. Think about it. The Republicans are going to love this because it will blame the Democrats. The powers that be in the intelligence community, they're going to love this. It's a modified limited hangout. I understand. I don't love them, but I'm willing to do it here as long as it means getting this state police unit, all right? It's perfect. Everybody's going to love it. We don't have to go down the rabbit hole of like how deep Epstein's connections went. We can stick to just this unit, this county, and like 2006 to 2026, okay? We don't have to talk about Khashoggi. We don't have to talk about MBZ in Saudi Arabia. We don't have to do it. I'm willing to accept this unit going down for Epstein. We can do this. And Maxwell has to cooperate against them. She knows where the bodies are buried. Ghislaine, I know what you know. Damn right I escaped, Ghislaine. I don't know why you couldn't. Maybe you were programmed or something. But my point is, stop watching the Disney movies then. My point is, all right, we got this. We're very, very, very close. All right, I think this is perfect. The establishment's going to love this. You can sell this to the DOJ, all right? You got to sell it. All right, not literally. I'm talking about like Junior Soprano style sell it. You got to sell it, all right? Mikey Palmisi couldn't sell it, or whatever the hell the dude's name was, Richie Aprio. But I think this can be sold up the chain, all right? You just go into one of those meetings in Main Justice and you say, listen, we can wrap this all up in a neat little ball. Jeffrey Epstein, working through the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office, was running a series of brothels in Stoughton, Dedham, and Boston, and pandering to Democratic politicians and using a Gestapo ring of state police and local police to keep the girls in line and recruiting through those same pathways. We got this. We got this. I'm telling you. Come on. Oh, it would make me so happy. Not because it would get everyone justice, but because these men were bad. And if we're going to do it, we can't bring down the entire American justice system. We need to bring down just a specific group and make an example of them. And this is that group. Chief McNamara knows. Oh, I want them to approve this so bad. Listen, Mr. President, if you're watching, you're probably busy meeting with Mr. Netanyahu. Maybe Mr. President, I like to think Mr. President watches a little of the war coverage. He did know my grampy. I knew Mr. President back in the day, like 2009. So I think he does tune in. I'm one of the few like news commentators that is like down the middle, but very friendly on a personal level to Mr. President because he was so nice to my grampy. My point is, Mr. President, listen, if you are watching, green light this. Just green light this. U.S. Attorney Leah Foley knows exactly what I'm talking about. Just bring her into your office. Just say, listen, I was listening to this kid named Grant, okay? Now, Grant really wants me to green light you having the, like, Brian Tully's state police unit, which we're calling Proctorgate, like, take the fall for the Epstein stuff. The whole kit and caboodle, all right? That's why that's in the chat as an option on the poll. I think, Mr. President, we could do this. The public will buy this. They really will. They will eat this up because they hate this unit. This unit went after Karen Reed. It went after Aiden Turtleboy Carney. Listen, everybody will be happy with this. This is going to work. Just trust me. Run with this. Just tell the U.S. Attorney Leah Foley to make that unit, the Proctorgate unit, and it won't reflect poorly on police as a whole, by the way. This unit was doing bad things, and they were enabled by Democrats. It's more like good cops standing up to root out bad cops, which makes all cops look better. You see what I'm saying? So, there we go. We got this. This is going to work. Just green light it. Come on, Mr. President. I'm going to pray for this. Just do it. Just call U.S. Attorney Leah Foley. Just be like, listen, you know Grant? She'll be like, yes, I know Grant. I've heard of Grant. And then she'll be like, God damn it, Grant. And just be like, listen, I was listening to Grant, and Grant told me that I should give you the green light to blame Michael Proctor and Brian Tully and their state police unit. Oh, look at that flying eagle. That's great. Thank you for that, Chat Bomb Lynn. I should give you the green light to blame them in a modified limited hangout for the entire Epstein operation. Do it. Oh, this is genius. Because think about this. You can really hurt the Democrats with this, Mr. President. It leads directly to the powers that be in the Democratic Party in Massachusetts. I don't know if it's going to be enough to turn the state red. You know, even Ronald Reagan couldn't do that. I think Nixon might have been able to do it once, but that was back, like, way back in the day. But the point is, it might make a point. You can just hold up Massachusetts and just say, listen, those damn commie liberals were they got a taste of the kids. They did horrible things. They used the cops to cover it all up. Whatever. Throw it all on that unit. We got this. Oh, yes. And Chief McNamara can just get up with you there at the White House, Mr. President. Should be like, Mr. President is the hero that we need. He saved us from this network that was abusing children and all of this other terrible stuff. He looked the demon in the eye and he said, go ahead, U.S. Attorney Leah Foley, unlaunch the HIMARS. All right? Hello, T.A. Sarah. Yeah, we got to take lots of notes for T.A. Sarah. She's going to be very confused. She's going to be like, launch HIMARS via U.S. Attorney Leah Foley, some kind of, oh God, she's going to be in way overhead. No, so classic Clippy, here's the plan. Nobody else is going to get implicated because these guys are soldiers. And when push comes to shove, when the country comes calling, you do what you're told, just like in 2014 or 2013, and they know what I'm talking about.
Must resign with dignity or face immediate termination. This complaint, if it even exists, had not been investigated, and it would represent the first formal complaint issued against McNamara during her entire career with the department. Kelter ended the meeting by informing McNamara that she was not to go to work or enter the police station on or off hours without his approval, and that she could use her own accrued time to cover her absence from work, which she has reluctantly done to date. He did not ask for her badge or service weapon and allowed her to drive her cruiser home so that she did not have to walk. McNamara...
What? He's making her cover her own time off. And by the way, someone asked who I think Epstein worked for. KGB. 100%. He may have been laundered out to other intelligence agencies under the cover of a double agent while actually being a triple agent. Mossad, the Prime Minister, or like the Sultan of Brunei, CIA, like NSA, whatever. But his actual paymasters and handlers, KGB SVR, that it started with Khashoggi, and it kept going through Epstein. That is what Epstein was doing is classic KGB SVR. Now listen, I don't doubt. Now listen, you got to think about the kibbutzes in the 90s. Epstein got expelled from Israel. You must understand, he was out there in the kibbutzes, and the idea, Mossad threw him out of Israel because he was being weird. You got to really push it to get thrown out of Israel, okay, at the kibbutzes of all. That's like little settlements, okay, in the occupied territories. If you're out there and doing bad stuff, like, you can do almost anything out there. I'm not kidding you. It's really bad. Because the police and the IDF are very ideologically militant. Think like Ben Gavir, but worse. He got thrown out of there in the 90s. Here's my opinion. In the world of the KGB and the SVR, the most important thing is blackmail. So Epstein's op was classic blackmail, okay? And it's also like a little, like, devilish. And I think Putin's like a devil worshiper. He, like, bombs churches and stuff. He's a really evil man. Even the people who tolerate Putin, like China, hate him because he's just so bad. So I think what happened was there was, like, this occultish, kind of like... It's like Baal, or what the hell do they call it? I don't know. They have like other names for this, like a demon. And it's like pagan, like occultism that's like been around forever. They really believe in ritualistic sacrifice. They're really weird. But more importantly, it benefits them because not only do they get to do this weird like sacrifice work and all this strange sex magic stuff. It's true. It's weird. I think it's odd. It's like a very heathenistic, like debased, like disgusting moral practice. But they really believe in like sex magic. It's very important to them. I don't know why. Apparently, like, they think it creates this like cycle where they like produce like fluid and then it regenerates back into them. It's really effed up. I don't want to go too into it. But then, more importantly, that's only like the underlying like esoteric component of it. Esoteric being internal knowledge, exoteric being what the public knows. What it's actually doing is it's operating as a blackmail network. Okay, it's classic KGB SVR stuff. You give people a taste, like you get them connected to people who look just like normal, regular citizens. Then you get them looped in. The next thing they know, they're in a hotel room. There's prostitutes. There's serious narcotics. They're doing freaky stuff. Maybe there are kids, and they don't know it's on tape. And then 10 years later, you're like, hey, remember that time when you were in Moscow at the hotel when you were hosting your pageant? Well, bro, we got this tape, and listen, if you don't like back off in Ukraine, we're going to release the tape. That's how it works. Now, this is a story as old as time. That's how people used to control Hollywood. That's why you run that shit anywhere in the orbit that I'm like covering. First of all, what you're going to find out is that a lot more is going to come out about you than you were trying to get out into the public about your target. Second of all, don't mess with my justice system. Third of all, and most importantly, these tactics are disgusting. If you can't win at the merits, on the merits, leave. In other words, be good or be good at it. I catch you using blackmail once, I will intensely focus on you juridically until you get your comeuppance. It's unfair. It's wrong. No civilians, no innocents, no kids, no women. You run blackmail once, I'll get you. These guys were running it as an art form, all right, which is like honeypots. Do you understand what the fact that intelligence community tactics popped up around Eden Turtleboy Carney and Karen Reed, with them being the target of those tactics, should tell you all you need to know, okay? It's because this blackmail network thought it was going to go down, and they thought either Aiden or Karen was going to expose them. Turns out it was a lot of people that brought them down. But they're used to trading in blackmail internationally. If they can't get you into a compromising situation sexually or fiscally or with drugs, then they'll fake it. They'll create a Truman-style alternative reality game and put people in your life until you do something stupid. And you won't even realize it because they prey on people's better nature, and worse, they prey on people's hearts. And I see you run one operative on the basis of fake emotional manipulation. I'll get you. Juridically, I'll get you, and I'll drag you in front of the entire world. I'll put you in front of Congress, and I'll have them asking questions about why you think it's appropriate to treat human lives and human hearts as a job. And then you can answer to the American public about why you, whether for private, public, or otherwise purposes, were abusing the psychological state of my fellow citizens to advance your blackmail ops. All right, it ends now. It's not the Illuminati. No. It's not Adam Weishaupt. That's like one subsect. And by the way, what is it? Asiatic Brethren and Scalaphagafia are more important to understand, like the emergence of 18th century German transcendental occultism. But notwithstanding that insight, let me just be very clear. It is very likely that some of these people are intelligence operatives, not public intelligence operatives, but what are called NOC, N-O-C, NOCs, N-O-C. I want you to say that acronym, NOCs, N-O-C. We're dealing with NOCs, non-official cover. What's even more complicated is that some of them are private NOCs. So a private NOC, I want you to remember this, a NOC, non-official cover. A private NOC would be a private intelligence operative with a fake job actually going around getting information for the purposes of whoever is hiring that firm. That's called a NOC, non-official cover. Academics are often NOCs. Financial traders are often NOCs. Journalists are often NOCs. Okay, this is a traditional intelligence community tactic that gets what's called laundered or sheep-dipped into the private intelligence world. Okay, now to sheep-dip an asset would be to, like, say you were a local cop in Boston or a state cop, and you had an informant network that were either NOCs or just like people you were blackmailing to make be your informant, okay, under threat of like bringing them into family court or humiliating them or charging them with crimes or whatever, okay? let's say that you had that network of informants that went back years. Sorry, I dropped my lighter. And let's say as a result of that network, existing, you went into private intelligence. Let's say you opened a private intelligence firm. You would what's called sheep dip the informants. So you would take all these people that you had from your time as like a Boston cop, maybe a state cop, like maybe in Medford, Somerville, Attleboro, whatever. You would take your informant network and what's called sheep dip them into private intelligence informants. Now what that means is you got to give them cover. Okay, like lots of people run private intelligence firms that might know about this kind of thing. Marty Kraft, Brian Albert, Brian Higgins would probably know about sheep dipping informants like this. So anyway, you would sheep dip your informants and then you would run them the classic way that you run something like this. It's called CONTELAPRO. The classic way that you would run this by the book is disrupt, disorganize, and destroy. So the way that this is meant to be deployed, although it's incredibly illegal, is to break up like militant domestic political movements, like the Black Panthers or like the KKK. Like if you want to break these guys up, what you do is you run CONTELAPRO on them. Disrupt, disorganize, destroy. So you get inside their movements with informants. You psychologically manipulate them through conditioned public narrative. You use the press to what's called alienate their standing in the public discourse. And then you just rail on them. You like choke their entire structure until they cannot function. And then you ideally, if you want to, take them over and then repurpose the organization for your purposes. Or you could just destroy the whole thing and scatter it like a million little pieces to the wind, depending on what you need it to do. But yeah, so that's the goal with CONTELAPRO. That's what they did to the Free Karen Reed movement. That's what they did to Turtle Boys movement. That's why you got to have good operational security if you're Karen or Aiden, right? You got to do background checks, take no one at face value, and then assume that people moving to get close to you are moles. Okay, and give them nothing. Trust but verify is not just a word that Ronald Reagan used and that I rehashed and that Kate Peters stole to try to look erudite because she's worthless and couldn't be me on her best day. Okay? It's an actual operational security tactic designed to confirm that the people around you aren't double agents. Okay? And let me just tell you, you don't need anyone around you. Okay? It takes a long time to vet people in high-level political battles, and this is the highest one possible. All right, and so that's what's really going on here. We have sheep-dipped informants who were brought over to the private intelligence world, either blackmailed, paid off, whatever, and they've been working for years in what's called deep cover roles, where they're acting. The personas that they have out there are fake. And then they get close to Aiden or Karen or both, and then they have roles. They're actually working. And then they're either trying to sow confusion, distract people from Proctorgate, distract people from the Birchmore cover-up, divide, as I said, Aiden and Karen's movements, expose Karen and Aiden to civil and criminal liability, threaten them with bail revocations. It's kind of like these pressure tactics. They're very dirty, they're unfair, they're constitutionally impermissible. In order to pressure people psychologically, it's called a control drama. And a lot of these men and women are about to fall. There's only a few left. So there's like 3 to 5 long cover moles left. This last week, there were 10. It's down to like 5, 3 to 5. Dude, the funding must be gone. Because the people that have been bailing are the type of people that were in there for years. So somebody pulled the money out. The funding's gone. Somebody got a little bit concerned, clearly, and that this operation was going to get blown. And now people are just kind of like left dealing with the fallout. They didn't help them. And like people should have known better. If you're an intelligence asset and it goes bad, they're going to, it's called plausible deniability, bro. They never met you. They don't know you. You don't know them. These people are left in the dust right now. They left all of them, I can tell. They literally abandoned them, which is the worst position to be in as an intel asset because you were only able to move the way you did because of your institutional protection. Now you got nothing. It's like there's a famous adage about the guys down in Radio Havana in 1962. They were working for the CIA. and they got raided. Dude, the CIA was like, we never heard of them. That's a knock. NOC, non-official cover. Part of the rules of the game is if you get caught, we don't know you. She doesn't go here. We don't know her. Oh, Nicole says you are incredible. Thank you. Oh, you're so kind, Nicole. We're going to get back to reading this document, but I must explain to you this context. God bless you, Nicole. You're so kind. You're also kind to support the LG. That's what's really going on here, okay? And I think for a number of reasons, the way that this is going to play out is going to be bad. Because these people, so professional intelligence operatives have loyalty to country. Like people who are actual, like official intelligence operatives, they stay loyal and you will never find out what they're doing because they love this country. Private intelligence operatives are like mercenaries. They'll chase the money and they have no loyalty to anyone. In fact, do you know the 4 things you look for when? Tell me if this rings any bells. When recruiting an intelligence asset, public or private, mental instability, disaffected employee, drive for money, ideology. Checking any boxes for anyone? Now, if you're a NOC, non-official cover intelligence operative, you're screwed. Oh, Prince of Wales, it's so good to see you. Prince of Wales says, knock, knock, who's there? God bless you, Prince of Wales. So good to see you, my friend. Love your username. Now, if you're a NOC and your cover gets blown, you know what they're going to do? They might, and that's why it's so weird for anyone to get involved in this unless they really know what they're doing. The money's more lucrative than being an informant for a police officer or a DA or something. It's way more lucrative. But the danger is, if your cover gets blown, whatever you got caught up in during your time running the op, you're going to be left to deal with the fallout. They are not going to help you. And let me just tell you, we are very close to the very last people in their orbit. Like, especially last night. Listen, they had to have a crisis meeting last night because of this. Because I'm telling you right now, they all know. They all know. Like last night was the moment where, so first of all, there's something called the break glass moment. We're way past that. Like a person who's actually in the know reading this complaint, dude, they would have decided last night to cut and run. So watch who goes away. Watch. People are going to just disappear. Not physically. You're not going to, either people are going to openly start railing on Karen and Aiden, which is the most obvious tell that they were rats, stoolies as we call them, or growing up. I don't know nothing about nothing. My point is, or they're going to just go away. If anyone just disappears right now, all right, they're the last of the stoolies, the last of the Mohicans. That's a good movie. So it's almost over. Like, we're right at the end. So last night, they would have had to make a decision. They would have had to tell these people, listen, if you stay from this point, if you keep running this operation, if you are still involved with us, you're going down, like, with us. We're all going down at this point. So you need to get off now, or we're going down. And frankly, they can't bring most of these people down with them. They're liabilities. That's what, now listen, the big tells that people are, like, we're part of this. They were at one point pro Aiden and Karen, or some combination of the both, and now are opposite. Second, they linked up Karen or Aiden under false pretenses. 3, they stole information in an attempt to hurt Aiden or Karen or both. 4, they leave the state when shit goes bad, stuff goes bad. 5, they have some connection to Florida or people in Florida or Sean on the Gulf. Anyone, go back to July 2023. Look at everyone Sean on the Gulf was around. You have your moles. And dude, they're good. They were good. It took me a long time to figure this out. And by the way, I would not have been able to put this together without Turtle Boy's journalism and without Karen. Karen never said anything to me, but she tipped me off because without knowing it, her and Hank Brennan looked at me the same way during the second Karen Reed trial. And I was like, dude, that's impossible. It's impossible that Hank Brennan and Karen Reed would both give me this like you'll get there, kid. Like just hold on. Like you're on the right track. They both gave me the same look, and I know what I'm looking at. And I was like, wait a minute. They don't like each other. Oh, they're working. No, they're really good. Now, I have a theory, by the way. I don't know what Karen's dad was up to. I don't know what Karen was up to, but I know John O'Keefe was most certainly on to, as you've seen from my recent interviews, distribution of narcotics in Kennington. He was a member of an undercover Boston police unit that did stings related to SA, abuse of children, etc. So, don't underestimate Karen Reed. Real G's move in silence. You know what I'm saying? I got a hilarious story to tell you about Karen Reed one day. I'm not going to tell you right now. Chat Mom Lynn says, you are so tuned into everything. Thank you for exposing it all. Let me just, God bless you, Chat Mom Lynn. You're so wonderful. Chat Mom Lynn was on, was in the comments during the Melanie Little stream. That was so great. I smiled when her comment came up. Let me just tell you, Karen Reed has street smarts. I don't know where they came from, but she's very intelligent, analytically, and she has street smarts, and she doesn't care. Like, she doesn't care. She's very smart, but she doesn't care. I watched her do something that only someone like me would do. That's all I'm going to say. In the courthouse hallway, her dad looked at her like, and she was just like, I don't care. She got stoned. And I sense, she never said anything to me, but I sense she wants to start like a foundation to expose vulnerable people being exposed by intermeshed like systemic police and prosecutorial and juridical corruption. That's what I sense she's going for. I just got an eye for that kind of thing. So anyway, my point is she's fascinating. I wasn't ready to talk to her yet. I was so hot in that hallway, and there was like 100 people around, but I observed, and I see everything. Grant, have you ever read Sigmund Freud and the Jewish mystical tradition? Starting to read it now, so curious. Oh, I have not. God bless you for your support, Lady Di. I have not. I have read Bernays, okay, and then I've read Bernays's sort of commercial application of Uncle Freud's, Edward Bernays was Sigmund Freud's nephew. I've read Bernays's application of Uncle Freud's theories of mass psychology of mind to sell cigarettes to women, as an example, in the 1927 Easter Parade under the auspices of Torches of Freedom. Did you know it was socially uncouth for women to put their hand on a cigarette before the 1920s? You ever look back in the history books and see women with a long plastic holder and white gloves with cigarettes? That was not fashion. They were not allowed to touch the cigarette. It was considered uncouth morally, and most women did not smoke prior to 1927. So Edward Bernays, in all of his infinite wisdom, looked at the flappers, okay, and this is really the emergence of corporate propaganda outside of World War I's, like War Information Board, where Bernays and those other guys got their start. But my point is, Bernays sees the flappers movement in the 20s, the feminist movement emerging. The 19th Amendment had just been passed, etc., etc. Bernays also sees cigarette companies with an untapped market with women and says, wait a minute, we can sell women the idea of smoking cigarettes as torches of freedom. I'll have women walk down the 1927 Easter Day parade smoking their torches of freedom without gloves or the long plastic holders, and that'll be seen as the defining moment where you can open up a new market sector. So there you go. That's how you appropriate a social cause to, in that example, sell cigarettes. But it's also the origin of CONTELAPRO, because if you can appropriate women's liberation to sell cigarettes, you can appropriate, disrupt, disorganize, destroy, or appropriate any social cause for any reason. Miss K, thank you so much for your kind support. So the reason I know so much about Edward Bernays is I'm actually a direct descendant in the academic tradition of Theodor Adorno and Max Horkheimer, through to Jürgen Habermas, through to my professor, through to me. Direct descendant in the lineage of critical theory. And Adorno and Horkheimer wrote a book called Dialectic of the Enlightenment in 1942. And although they were working on it in the 30s, they got kicked out of Germany in the 30s because they were Jewish. So anyway, they're working on this book, Dialectic of the Enlightenment, and chapter 8 is called The Culture Industry. And what the culture industry does is it lays out this critique of Bernays' weaponization of Freud's mass psychology of mind in the context of public relations or propaganda, and it gives you a way to deconstruct it. Okay, I call it reconstructive hermeneutics, or Habermas would call it reconstructive hermeneutics. I call it something else. So Adorno calls his theory degrees of simulation. I'm going to give it to you real quick, then we're going to go back to the motion, but I think it's incredibly important to understand how I think about not only subverting weaponized mass psychology of mind, but also reforming systems that have fallen victim to regulatory capture vis-a-vis weaponized PR, aka mass psychology of mind, applied through a Freudian or Bernaysian lens in particular. So I take that and deconstruct it. How do I do it? Well, if you go to chapter 8 of Dialectic of the Enlightenment, you're going to read, it's called The Culture Industry. Very worthwhile work to look into. I'd recommend reading chapter 8 in full. What you're going to learn, it's very hard to understand what Adorno's talking about. He likes to waffle. All German philosophers love waffling. They only need to write like 50 pages, but they write like 1,000 pages, and most of it's just waffling. It's like they listen to too much Wagner. It's like as if you gave a person who only listens to like Wagnerian, like heroic epic operas, a bunch of cocaine, and they were like, okay, write about Plato and Hegel and Marx and the emergence of post-industrial like humanity in the context of regulated market economies. And then they just write. They waffle for a long time. So anyway, Adorno is writing about this sort of this notion of the culture industry, and he has these degrees of simulation. I'm going to explain it to you in the modern parlance because the way he explains it does not make a lot of sense. But for your purposes, just understand we're now talking about Adorno and Horkheimer's critique of Bernays and his application of Freud's mass psychology of mind for like subversive corporate propaganda purposes. And we're talking about it in the context of chapter 8 of Dialectic of the Enlightenment, which is called The Culture Industry. In that chapter, Adorno lays out his degrees of simulation. Think about it this way. Imagine you were in a room with your friend and their cell phone. If I asked you to describe that cell phone to me, you'd do a damn good job, probably, if you knew your friend for a while, of giving me the most context possible. You probably were at a bar one time when it fell on the ground, got damaged. Maybe you know when one of the cracks on the screen happened. Maybe it's a new phone and there's a special memory you have of it. You'd describe it to me with the most context possible. Adorno would call that the first degree of simulation. Oh, got to catch the rest on replay, says Chat Mom Lynn. Meetings back to back all day. Have a great day, everyone. Chat Mom Lynn sending you Super Towel vibes. God bless you, you all wonderful. And we're just one away from our chat goal. You're going to get GOAT videos. All right, so you're in the room with your friend and your friend's cell phone. And you give me that description, first degree of simulation. Now, say I said to you, would you mind taking a picture with this Polaroid camera that I have, because I'm old school like that, of your friend's cell phone? Could you just do that for me? And you were begrudgingly like, fine, towel. I'm sure this has some larger purpose, so I'll do it. Let's go. What point are we making today? And then I could take you, okay, back to your apartment where you live with a roommate who's never met your friend, never seen their cell phone before. And I could say to you, would you mind giving that Polaroid to your roommate? You could do that. And they could take that Polaroid. And I could say to them, roommate, would you describe to me, if you would, the cell phone you see in that Polaroid? Now, they could do it. They would most likely describe to me the make, the model, the color, maybe some superficial damage, whatever they could. They would describe it to me, and that would be accurate, but it would be in the second degree of simulation. They're now looking at a picture of the original phone. Now, I could say to your roommate, I don't mean to bother you, but, I'm a towel. Would you be so kind as to write down what you just told me? Just verbatim. Exactly what you just said. Please just write it down. Your description of the picture of the phone that you saw. You could do that. You absolutely could write down the exact words you said to me. I could take that piece of paper. I could walk down the street. I could say, extra, roommate describes picture of important phone. You see where this is going. I could hand it to a man on the street, and I could say, man, could you please read these words about the picture of the cell phone that was written by the roommate? He could do that. He'd be consuming the cell phone at that point in the third degree of simulation. Bada bing, bada boom, all news is consumed in the third degree of simulation. Okay, all modern news for the most part. So, that's where Adorno and Horkheimer leave us in, oh, we did it! We did it, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to get goat videos as soon as I finish with this analogy. Goat videos, goal achieved. God bless Prince of Wales. We did it. We did it. Excellent job. Excellent job. Adorno and Horkheimer just leave us there with a cliffhanger in Dialectic of the Enlightenment, Chapter 8. But along comes Orson Welles. Because you might be saying, but I don't want to be stuck completely alienated in the third degree of simulation. I agree, bro. So, Orson Welles comes along, the brilliant man that he was, and he makes Citizen Kane. Now, Orson Welles was reading, for sure, Adorno and Horkheimer, because he was like a diplomat. He hung out with like Winston Churchill when he was a kid. Welles is very powerful. His parents were like British or aristocracy directly. And so Welles makes a movie, ironically, about William Randolph Hearst, the newspaper baron who was competing against Joseph Pulitzer in the early 20s. That's where yellow journalism came from. They were competing over comic strip artists, and the back of the comic strips were yellow. Orson Welles makes a movie about William Randolph Hearst, but the main character is called Charles Foster Kane. What do you learn in that movie? You'll learn that if you want to hear the truth about a man's life, you got to hear 5 different people, at minimum, lie to you about that man's life through their own narratives, and you're going to see kernels of truth start to emerge. Well, that gets us out of the third degree of simulation. By amalgamating as many perspectives as possible on a given event, person, or situation, you can start parsing those narrative containers from the kernels of truth that make up humans' asymptotic relationship with universal truth, or the truth of a given event, person, or situation's experience, okay? And as such, you can approach but never touch that truth. So you're rebuilding back towards the second degree of simulation, okay, the picture of the phone. And although you'll never be there to have experienced the first degree of simulation, you want to approach, through amalgamated perspectives, some semblance of an understanding of what actually happened. And that's called reconstructive hermeneutics. Everybody understand? Good. You can all take an exam on critical theory now. Excellent job. Back to the document. There will be a test. It's going to be a very hard test.
McNamara left this meeting in a state of confusion. She has served the town of Stoughton for over 25 years and takes great pride in rising through the ranks to become police chief. McNamara has been forced to call in sick each day she has been scheduled since July 7, 2026. 33. Coulter scheduled a follow-up meeting with McNamara to occur on July 9, 2026, for the purpose of discussing McNamara's decision. However, on July 8, 2026, this meeting was postponed and not rescheduled. 34. After that meeting, which occurred exactly 1 year after she signed her third contract as chief, in early July 2026, co-workers, friends, and family members began to report to McNamara that they were hearing rumors that she was never coming back, and was fired. This was all news to her. 35. McNamara called in sick to work on July 8, 2026, and July 9, 2026. When she called in sick on July 9, 2026, McNamara spoke to a department employee who informed her that Coulter had told him about the discussion she had with Coulter on July 7, 2026, and that Coulter told him, Donna will not be coming back to work. 36. On July 10, 2026, when McNamara called in sick to work, she spoke to a department employee who informed her that Coulter had come to the police station for a meeting with all of the male commanders. During this meeting, Coulter told them that Donna was on sick leave for the next week and that she will not be coming back to the station ever. She was also informed by this employee that Coulter had reported to them that he had retained a consultant to begin the hiring process for a new police chief. 37. On July 13, 2026, Coulter called and texted McNamara on her cell phone, imploring her to resign. Coulter was aware at the time of this contact that McNamara had retained legal counsel. However, he did not care. She did not answer or return these messages. 38. Later that same day, by an 8:50 p.m. text message, Coulter confirmed his position that McNamara was prohibited from returning to work or entering the police station on or 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44 off hours without his approval, and that she was to continue using her accrued leave, which he stated he was letting her do as a favor to her. On or about July 15, 2026, McNamara, through the undersigned counsel, informed Coulter that she refused to resign and was demanding to return to work. On July 14, 2026, Coulter again called McNamara on her cell phone, She did not answer. On July 14, 2026, Calter accused McNamara of going to the police station in violation of his orders and instructed department personnel to search the station cameras and key card system, which they did, and which confirmed McNamara had, in fact, not been in the police station. On July 14, 2026, the Stoughton Select Board met and, upon information and belief, took no action as to McNamara.
On his orders? Who the hell does he think he is?
On July 16, 2026, a department employee contacted McNamara to inform her that Calter was continuing to talk disparagingly about her both inside and outside of the police station. She was informed that Calter had contacted both police unions and told them, "I don't know who the next chief will be, but it won't be a woman." She was also informed that Calter had told department personnel that McNamara had until Friday, July 17, 2026, to decide whether to resign, which, as detailed above, was not true, because her decision to decline to resign had already been communicated to Calter on or about July 15th. On July 17, 2026, McNamara, through the undersigned counsel, made a written demand to the town that she be permitted to return to work. 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 31. On this same date, town council informed McNamara that, unless she agreed to resign, the town intended to place her on administrative leave and commence an investigation. However, neither has occurred to date. On Monday, July 20, 2026, McNamara filed a formal harassment complaint with the Select Board against Calter, alleging that he had been engaging in a pattern of gossip and disparagement against McNamara while also calling and texting her on her cell phone virtually every day for the prior two weeks. Also, on July 20, 2026, the Stoughton Select Board met and took no action as to McNamara's employment. Attachment D, meeting posting. On July 21, 2026, McNamara lost access to her work email address. On July 22, 2026, McNamara learned through the media that another Stoughton Police Department employee, Deputy Chief O'Connor, had been appointed acting police chief of the Stoughton Police Department. The media provided no details on who in the town made this appointment, or even when and where the decision was made.
I mean, talk about inviting the feds to rail ya. What are these guys, all hate women? Of course it was a male that they appointed. Oh, this is bad. How do you think Leah Foley's going to feel about this? She's going to be all mad? She was already mad at Channel 5. She's going to be really mad.
That same day, a member of the department contacted McNamara and informed her of a department-wide email Calter had sent, suggesting that she had voluntarily stepped down from her position, which is untrue.
He alleged she voluntarily stepped down from her position? Oh, man. Oh, this is bad. How deep does this go? This guy was willing to put everything on the line. Never seen anything like it. Oh, my word. Now, these are, of course, allegations, but they will be accepted as true for the court's purposes of analyzing a 12b-6, I'll tell you that.
Also, on that same day, McNamara, through undersigned counsel, questioned the town in writing regarding the lawfulness of the appointment referenced above and made a second demand to return to work. Town council replied in writing stating, Select Board meeting is scheduled to be held tomorrow on this matter, and that FHE will be in touch following that meeting. A2 53, 54, 55, 36, 57. On July 23, 2026, the Stoughton Select Board met and took no action as to McNamara's employment, her complaint against Calter, or the appointment of the acting police chief referenced above.
Wait, isn't there a Select Board meeting tonight in Stoughton? I think I saw someone post about it. Someone asked Mazza to cover it. I don't know why. If Mazza's going to cover it, first of all, I don't even know if I'm going to be awake. Maybe I can go talk to him. He can interview me about it. But the point is, somebody said they're covering it. There's going to be one tonight. They kind of got to say something now. Oh, my word. This just keeps getting more intense.
To date, the town has not issued charges against McNamara, commenced an investigation into her conduct, or placed her on administrative leave. Nevertheless, the town continues to prevent McNamara from performing the position to which she is contractually entitled and required, without providing her with any process or explanation for its actions.
Alright, hold on everyone. Let's review the rules. I'm going to read them out. I'll give her no slurs, no being discriminatory, no being derogatory, no personality, show compassion, no sea lioning, no trolling. Also, Lynn is chat mom, and we love penguins and goats. Free the goats. So the point is, I saw the generality. I don't want to see it again. Humans are individual. There's 182 countries in this stream, and I expect no generalizations. And I certainly do not expect any backseat moderation when people call you out for generalizations. I control the standing orders of the House. I'm a Tao. And you're not. Well, you all could be Taos, but any discrimination strips you of your Towel status.
Explanation for its actions. Upon information and belief, no prior male Stoughton police chief has ever been.
Okay, Petty LaBelle, I understand. There's 197 countries in the world if you count Kosovo and the observer states at the UN. There are 182 of them that have watched this channel since February. I checked.
Upon information and belief, no prior male Stoughton police chief has ever been terminated for a single instance of causing stress to a subordinate. The town has caused and is continuing to cause McNamara severe emotional distress. And Calta's ongoing smear campaign against her is affecting her reputation, which in turn may affect her ability to resume her duties effectively.
Alright, so there you
Count
go.
I, breach of contract. The plaintiff
ahead.
hereby incorporates by reference paragraph 6 to 53 of the complaint and
So someone said the British reporter towel's a little tough. I know. It saves my voice. It's like an accommodation thing that I use to help me read a lot of text and listen. I do better listening. We pick British reporter towel because he's British. But yeah, just be aware, like, a lot of people revolt against Nightbot and British reporter towel. I defend their honor as much as possible, but sometimes they go over the line, and I can't support that.
sets them forth herein. The defendants are ignoring their obligations under their employment agreement with plaintiff and are prohibiting her from performing the job that she is contractually entitled to do, i.e., Stoughton Police Chief, or, in the alternative, are failing to provide her with.
I will try to cover it. I think it's broadcast on their community cable station, so whoever's covering it will be rebroadcasting the pool feed. But you want to go to the Stoughton Community Television, I believe, has the live feed. And then I think Mazza said he's going to cover it. And then if I'm awake, I will try to, but no promises.
To do, i.e., Stoughton Police Chief, or, in the alternative, are failing to provide her with. Any explanation or process for their actions is required under the agreement.
Oh yeah, this is 100% also tied into a discrimination complaint with the Equal Opportunity Employment Commission. I agree.
Any explanation or process for their actions is required under the agreement. I-58. As a direct, proximate, and foreseeable result of the defendant's material breach of their agreement, the plaintiff has suffered and continues to suffer damages, including but not limited to irreparable harm to her reputation, as well as lost wages and benefits. Count 2. Declaratory relief, GL circa 231A. 59. An actual controversy exists between the parties in that the defendants have violated their employment agreement with plaintiff by ignoring their obligations under it and prohibiting her from performing the job that she is contractually entitled to and required to do, or in the alternative, by failing to provide her with any explanation or process for their actions as required under the agreement. A binding declaration of the parties' rights, terms, and obligations under this employment agreement is necessary to settle the existing controversy. Prayer for relief. Wherefore, McNamara requests that this court enter judgment in her favor and Order 1. Defendants are to comply with their employment agreement with the plaintiff. 2. Plaintiff is awarded her reasonable attorney's fees and costs. 3. All other relief which the court deems to be within the interest of justice. Jury demand. Plaintiff demands a trial by jury on all counts triable.
Okay, so let's take a look at the attachments. Okay, verification, attachment A, the town charter of Stoughton. We don't really need to look at all of this. I'm going to see if there's anything after the town charter. I'm sure this has a lot of stuff about the powers of the executive director or the town manager, which is like an executive director. Anything else in here I need to see? Oh, what's this? This is her employment contract. This is definitely already public. It had to be voted on. Okay. Okay. Who signed it? The select board. Alright. Select board. What's this? The select board meeting. Oh, okay. So it looks like if you want to join the various Stoughton Select Board meetings, you want to go to the notice of meeting for tonight. and you're going to get a Google Meet code that you can use, and then you can rebroadcast it that way. So it looks like they have to notice it. I don't know if they would have had time, though. This might have to be something. Can they do stuff that's not on the agenda? So here's the problem. This is not on the agenda for tonight, I would imagine. Maybe it is. If it's not, I don't know if they can amend. They don't have a section here for things not on the agenda, like new business not anticipated at the time of hosting. It's a very complex, like, open meeting law thing, so I don't exactly know what they're going to do. But you can see this is how they notice them. So you can go on the Stoughton... you can go on stoughtontv.org. stoughtontv.org, where there will be a live stream of tonight's stream. George, the reason Hezbollah doesn't post anymore is there's no attacks, really. It's skirmishes at most, but Hezbollah is not firing at Israel. Bibi's under a lot of pressure from the U.S. to stop what he's doing. Alright, so, my name is Grant Smith Ellis. We got through the first motion. There is a Canton Police, a Canton Select Board meeting tonight. This is going to be something I'm monitoring. Now let's look at the preliminary injunction and short order of notice motion to see if there's anything in there.
Plaintiff demands a trial by jury on all counts at tribal, dated July 27, 2026.
Thank you. Next document.
Date filed July 27, 2026, 12:13 p.m. Superior Court, Norfolk. Docket number 2682CV00852. Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Superior Court Department. Norfolk, SS. Civil Action number 2682 CV00852. Donna M. McNamara. Plaintiff. Versus. Town of Stoughton and Thomas Calter. Defendant.
Oh, actually, before we begin this, hold on. You all completed the chat goal, which means I have excellent news for you. I know. You all are going to be thrilled. Try to contain your excitement. I owed you these from the other day. I did not have them for you, but I have them now. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, thanks to you all. First of all, there's a picture of a goat. That goat was saved on the highway by the Pennsylvania State Police the other day. That's a goat. Look at the goat. You all earned this. You completed the super chat goal, so that's a picture of a goat. He's a little mad. You know, the officer's grabbing his horn so he doesn't buck his head. He's a little mad. Look at his goat face. He's like, why are you doing this? I'm mad. I'm going to spit on you. He's a mad goat. So anyway, when we complete our chat goals, you get to see goat videos. So, you might have heard about the infamous goats that were displaced from southern Lebanon on March 9th, 2026. And if you haven't heard about these goats, oh, here's a great picture of a goat from Carly Kramer. Look at the goats. They're great. Hashtag save the goats. Now, if you haven't heard of these goats, these are the goats. We were worried about them. They were displaced during the war. Look at them. Look at them. Exactly, classic Clippy. It's because it's a different kind of position. And I'm going to guess the town manager tried to invoke some strange clause. But yeah, not a good sign for the town of Stoughton. Anyway, back to the goat videos. Those are goats. Look at them. Look at them. Look at them. Look at the goats. You earned this for completing the super chat goal. Towel delivers on his promises. I am a man of my word. Look at the goats. Look at them. Wait till you see the baby goats. You don't understand? Look at the baby goats. Look at them. See the baby goat? He's coming up a little lame. But wait, there's more. There's more, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, there's a baby goat. Now, this is the middle of Beirut, the middle of the Lebanese capital. These goats were displaced along with 1 million people. Look at the baby goat. Look at him. He is being ridden on a horse. All right, that man, his shepherd, he's protected the baby goat. That's a baby goat on a horse. And now you might be saying, I've always wanted to see a baby goat on a horse being ridden through the streets of Beirut. Well, it's unfortunate you had to see it in those circumstances. However, the only reason I can be so light about this is, yes, you might be wondering, Grant, did you use your skills you learned during the war and your ability to somewhat understand Arabic to track herds of goats being displaced north in March and then returning to the south of Lebanon in June of 2025? Yes, 2026, yes, I did. I absolutely used my war reporter towel skills to track herds of goats to make sure they safely got back to South Lebanon. Here's a video of them returning through Nabatayeth to the south. Look at those goats. Look at how happy they are. They get to go back to southern Lebanon. I agree. The man carrying that baby goat was doing God's work. So that's a herd of goats returning to southern Lebanon. Look at them. They're so happy. Look at all the goats. They get to go back home to South Lebanon now. Yeah. Oh, Interpret Towel, it's so good to see you. I know, we were so happy to see the goats go back home. Hashtag save the goats. Okay. That was your reward for doing our Super Chat Gold. Now, that was your moment of mental decompression. Thank you for watching Towel News. We've been going for about 2 hours and 20 minutes. I want to, a little bit of time, but I want to first of all say thank you for supporting this channel. There are different ways to do so. You can subscribe. You can like the channel. Over 16,000 of you subscribe to Towel News. This is a public information service designed to educate, inform, and entertain. I use entertainment as a buffer to insulate your brain from trauma, such as to educate and inform, thus engender and coach a public discourse and warding off the usurpation of our forms of government worldwide. If you'd like to see more of this content and you're able to do so, please consider a donation to keep me alive and fed. You can do so via Venmo, you can do so via Cash App, you can do so via PayPal. I forget to do these readouts every once in a while, so you're able to look in the chat. Someone will put ! donate if I don't do it myself first. And you can click on those links and you can buy Towel food and keep Towel alive and support Towel News. Now, as we get closer to the Sandra Birchmore and Matthew Farwell trial in October of 2026, I have a plan to do wall-to-wall coverage, okay, every day. I'm going to be in court. I'm going to be live tweeting. I'm going to run out during the breaks. We'll do reports. And then at the end of the day, I'd like to find a space. So I'm going to probably have to, find somewhere relatively close to there. And I'd like to do panel interviews with people who are in court. I'd like to interview them about their different observations, and then I'd like to learn more, and we're going to do that for the entire Matthew Farwell trial. It's going to require me upgrading my broadcast equipment. I'm going to get one of those fancy mics that I can put out there with a little, thing with Towel News on it, and then I'm going to find space, and then I'm going to hopefully attach it to a place where I can use as a headquarters to go to the trial each day. So I'm going to plan that out. Towel Girlfriend will be here. It'll be great. So it's going to be a full thing. I'm going to treat it very seriously, and I'm going to do my best for the first time to present to you long-form public access programming during the Matthew Farwell trial. So Towel News will be doing wall-to-wall coverage of that trial in person. So no cameras in federal court, but all day I'll be in court, and then you'll see me do coverage during the breaks, and then at night I'm going to try to set up a, amateur studio, and then I'm going to bring people in. I'm going to sit in front of a desk. Towel Girlfriend's going to be there. It's going to be great. And then I'm going to sit there and I'm going to talk, and I'm going to say to people, what do you think about what happened in court today? And they're going to say, I was blown away, I was fascinated. And then I'm going to be like, this is Towel News. And then we're going to talk all about it. Shout out Marjorie Egan and Jim Browdy. It's my turn to take the javelin. I don't think you take a javelin, the baton. I guess I could take a javelin and just throw it, and then I'll grab the baton. So anyway, my point is we're doing this. So if you want to support Towel News, I got a lot of things. I'll probably do something more formal so I can keep track of what we need. I got to look into what all this is going to cost, and then I can put it out there, and then we can crowdfund it, and then I can deliver you public access programming, and Towel Girlfriend is going to be thrilled. We're all going to do such a good job. I'm so excited. So, thank you for that wonderful high five, Lisby. You're wonderful. So I'm going to finish reading this motion. That was the donation break. You can find the links in the description in the chat to support Towel News. When I have more information about Towel News' coverage of the Sandra Birchmore and Matthew Farwell trial, I'll let you know. I don't want anything more than I need. I just want to be able to relay to you what happens. So we're going to set up a budget. We're going to figure out what it's going to cost, and that's exactly what I need. We'll deal with food and other things, and it's going to be close to the courthouse. So I don't have to have a lot of stress. I can just be in the zone for you all the time and just relay it out to you as it's happening. So that's the plan, all right? And that's what we're going to do during the month of October. From October 6th, 2026, right on through the end of trial. You're going to have wall-to-wall Towel News coverage. It probably won't be live all the time, but that's going to be a wild month during that trial, and this lawsuit is just the first part. So, with that said, let's take a look at the motion for the TRO, and let's find out what Chief McNamara is asking the court to do in the short term on a short order of notice.
Defendant. Plaintiff's motion for preliminary injunctive relief and short order of notice. Now comes the plaintiff, Donna McNamara, who pursuant to Mass. RCIV. P. 65, and Superior Court Rules 9A, D. 1, hereby moves this court to issue an injunction preventing.
Oh, I won't be going all fancy. This is going to be this is not going to be court TV style overlooking the harbor. No. Very simple, just like 3 chairs. Like, it's basically like what Marjorie Egan did during the Whitey Bulger trial. Very simple, 1 camera, maybe 2, like cheap cameras, just like operated cameras. They need to be able to move, but like, and then I'm going to use my current computer. Don't need to upgrade that, and then I have a dropped internet connection I'm going to be able to bring. Okay, that'll be a little bit, but it's very, very slimmed down. The point is not to replicate corporate news. It's to do it better than them with less resources, and hopefully keep me alive and fed.
Superior Court Rules 9A, D. 1, hereby moves this court to issue an injunction preventing defendants from continuing to materially breach its employment agreement by prohibiting her, without explanation or appropriate process, from performing the job that she is contractually entitled to as required under the agreement. The plaintiff respectfully requests that this court sustain this motion and order the defendants to comply with the plaintiff's employment agreement and restore her work status, or, in the alternative, provide the plaintiff with an explanation and process for their actions as required under the agreement. This motion is based upon the verified complaint of plaintiff and the attached memorandum of law. Wherefore, plaintiff requests that the court grant this motion.
Okay, so she wants her job back by order of the court. What is her argument for that? Let's listen. I have that too.
Date filed July 26th.
Oh, and then Classic Clippy said you need the satellite connection. Yes, so the way that satellite works is you can have a home-based system, but to get the mobile system, you have to activate it the months that you use it. It's $156 a month. I would normally never do that, but for this trial, yes, I'm going to obtain a dedicated uplink that moves with me. So wherever I go, I'll be able to do a dedicated uplink, which I think is very important. And I've thought about this ahead of time. You can turn it off for the months you don't use it and pay like $5 or $10 a month, which is fine. But yeah, that is going to be a requirement. All the news channels use it now. Channel 5, I think Justice Served uses it. That's like crucial. So that is one of the de minimis things I gotta get set up. Then, like, I got to think about where I'm going to do the interviews. I'm going to look around. It shouldn't be too bad. I have plans. And then I'm also going to look into, like, 2 cameras, cheap, then a little bit of lighting, and then microphones. And that's it. And I think we'll be good to go. I got to get a few other, like, bureaucratic things, like, checked off the list. But I'm ready to do this in October.
Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
And I think
Superior
the other
Court
stations
Department.
will do fine. But no one's going to be able to do it like Towel News. I know this case inside and out. It's very important to me, this case. I think a lot of people and vulnerable people were harmed by our justice system. And I feel very bad about what happened to Sandra and her baby. So I'm going to take this through, and I'm going to do it right and with the justice that the case deserves, in form and content. And I'm going to think a lot about it, and I'm going to do it right. And I'm going to make a record so that people can go back and follow that trial and understand what happened. It's going to look professional, but it's going to be de minimis in expenses, and we're going to get it done. I know a lot of you think it's important. People actually reached out to me on Twitter and asked how we could get this all going. I got to, like, lay out, like, methodically what it's going to take to do it, and then I got to determine the budget, and then I'll tell you all, and then we'll do it, and we're going to do it.
Superior Court Department. Norfolk, SS. Civil Action Number 2682 Evo 0852. Donna M. McNamara. Plaintiff. Versus. Town of Stoughton and Thomas Calter. Defendant. Plaintiff Memorandum of Law in support of her. Motion for preliminary injunction and short order of notice. L. Introduction. The plaintiff, Donna McNamara, Chief McNamara, hereby submits this memorandum of law for breach of contract and declaratory and injunctive relief, pursuant to GL Circa 231 Section 1, 2,
You got it, George. And Penny vouchers for you, by the way, George. So didn't mean to jump down anyone's throat. I'm just a little protective. But yeah, I'm absolutely thinking about that kind of style setup for interviews. And kind of like 3 chairs behind a glass desk. And then people can like come in each night, whoever wants to talk to me. And we can talk about what's going on in the trial. People who are in court, I'll pull out, regular citizens. I'll pull out lawyers who go in. Anyone that wants to come on can come talk. Well, you got to get past my screening. But yeah, we're going to do it.
Of law for breach of contract and declaratory and injunctive relief, pursuant to GL Circa 231 Section 1, 2. Enjoin the defendant's town of Stoughton, Town, and Thomas C. Kelter, the Stoughton Town Manager, from continuing to materially breach its employment agreement by prohibiting Burr, without explanation or appropriate process, from performing the job that she is contractually entitled to as required under the agreement, as set forth herein, at no point during Chief McNamara's time with the Stoughton Police Department has she been unwilling or unable to perform her duties as police chief to the fullest extent, and as necessary to uphold her part of the contract. Chief McNamara has an exemplary service record. She has not been disciplined under any of the town managers who have worked in Stoughton, nor has she ever been informed that her performance was unsatisfactory in any respect. Notwithstanding, for the past several weeks, Kelter, acting on his own, has banned McNamara from the police station, shut off her access to her work email, replaced her with an acting chief, and has engaged in a smear campaign in town, including telling her co-workers, friends and family that her career is over, and that there will never be a female police chief in Stoughton again. The Stoughton Select Board, which is the signatory to Chief McNamara's employment agreement, has met three times during this time period and has taken no action regarding McNamara, which has forced the plaintiff to come to this court on an emergency basis. As detailed below, all of the elements for injunctive relief are met in this case, and this court must sustain plaintiff's motion for injunctive relief and order the defendants to comply with the plaintiff's employment agreement and restore her work status, or, in the alternative, provide the plaintiff with an explanation and process for their actions as required under the agreement. Relevant facts. The following facts are taken from Chief McNamara's verified complaint and attached affidavit. Chief McNamara has been employed at the Stoughton Police Department for 25
Breaking! Chief McNamara has been granted her short order of notice hearing. The hearing will be July 31st, 2026 at 10 a.m. Breaking news. It'll be in front of the Honorable Rosemary Conley, Dedham, first floor, courtroom 10, Superior Court. Breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. Chief McNamara has been granted her short order of notice hearing. She did not win the TRO, but winning a short order of notice hearing means judge has questions. The hearing will take place on July 31st, 2026 at 10 a.m. in person. Okay, this order just came down. I will be there. It's July 31st. Oh, I will be there. 10 a.m. in person. Norfolk Superior Court, I believe. It says Dedham, but I believe it says SC Superior Court. Dedham, first floor, courtroom 10, hearing on preliminary injunction in front of the Honorable Rosemary Conley. Civil A, here we go. Rally the troops. Tell the news. She got granted her preliminary hearing. I got to do the breaking news read. Hold on, let me get it for you. Good thing I checked mass courts. That's why I'm a towel. What do you know about being a towel? I'm a towel. The people who watch this that are lawyers are probably like, oh God, he's going to take over the political class and our profession is going to get humbled. Yeah, you're damn right. Like I told Christina Rex, I just became a JD so I could get all the information and use it against him to bring down the corrupt bastards. She was like, what do you want to do with your life? Don't you want to take the bar? I was like, no, I want to wander the countryside in a robe and preach to people for food. She was like, not for money, for food? And I was like, yeah, just for food. Just okay. My goal in life is to consistently baffle and dazzle Christina Rex. And it's hilarious. She thinks it's hilarious. I think it's hilarious, which makes it even more hilarious. You don't understand. Then again, she did tell me to gobble like a turkey one time to tell her about Robert Cosgrove walking down the courthouse steps. Once you tell me that you want me to gobble like a turkey. I am allowed to do whatever I want when it comes to like trolling the hell out of you. You know what? Because you told me to gobble like a turkey, which I think is freaking endearing and hilarious. But also, no one before that and no one since has ever told me to gobble like a freaking turkey. I don't even think a freaking turkey would tell me to gobble like a turkey. My word. I mean, just my word. Wins hearing on. She's gonna get her job back. You don't win a short order of notice with 2 days notice unless you're gonna get your job back. Look at it. Look at it. Look at it. There's the endorsement, and then this is how you check it. So you go to mass courts. Look at it. Look at it. Look at it. You heard it first on Towel News. Hashtag breaking on Towel News. Well, listen, so my channel has 16,000 people that subscribe to it. I'm not a giant channel. I'm not trying to be that. So what normally happens is the people that watch this are like literally the people like who would be like watching live cameras of like missiles falling. They're the people who want to know what's happening literally as it happens. Not everyone wants that stress load or two can handle it. People sometimes prefer just a little bit like slower pace of like digesting the material. With me, you're gonna go boom, boom, boom. You're gonna go fast and hard all day. There's not gonna be much downtime. It's a lot. So it's more like a breaking news channel than a traditional content platform, and only some people like that, which is all I'm trying to be. It's more for like other journalists too. A lot of people will watch this during the day and be like, "Oh, that happened. Like, I'll take that. It's kind of like Bob Dylan when he was approached to write the theme song for Easy Rider, and he scribbled a few lines on a napkin and was like, "Give this to McGuinn." They're just looking for kernels of stuff like throughout the day. So they might get something like from the Middle East or a court docket or just something fascinating that I don't care that much about. And they're like, all right, I'll run with it. So it's more like a feeder service. It's like a wire. It's called like a news wire. It's not really a traditional journalistic channel. It's way closer to a news wire, like real, raw, live, all the time. You oftentimes will hear something here, and then like an hour later, you'll see it on the New York Times. This happens with everything from like that Goldier's Green attack in London. Like it will happen anywhere. Like the BBC's behind, the New York Times is behind, the local news is behind. Like they're all like chasing the wires, and they need like a UPI, United Press International, or an Associated Press. They need a wire to really chase it. The wires don't have time to do a lot of what I do. With the war, they should be better. With this stuff, I don't expect them to be chasing Superior Court civil dockets. This, they really should have. They should have been on this. They should have known a ruling was coming. If you see a motion for a short order of notice, it's an emergency. They didn't. The news should have been paying attention, but this is called a news wire. You'll get it, then every other station will write it up, and you'll be like, wait, but I heard that on Towel News 3 hours ago, and that's how the news works. But yeah, a lot of news people watch my coverage. Like, it's kind of like a meta thing for people who watch news. You watch this to prep for how you're going to cover stuff or to get more background. And it goes out like a wire service a lot of the time. So you'll hear it here as like a flash, and then other people will go write it up, which is why what you'll see me do in real time is like cut a report. So here, I can show you an example of what I like to do. So most news stations won't just they wouldn't break live news and cut a report on it, but I'm going to take a report that I will then write up on Twitter to update people about the hearing on Friday, because I was the one who found this. So I'll show you what it means to like one take something. If you ever hear like a music artist say they go in the booth and one take it, what they're talking about is cutting it the first time with no mistakes. So I'm going to cut right now live for you a report, and then I'm going to be clipping it. I'm going to take that clip, upload it to Twitter, and use that as the breaking news report. Okay, so I got to get into like towel journalism mode here. Give me 1 second. Let me kind of breathe a little bit. I got to resend to my Zen, because I got to think about how to tell it to an audience who wasn't watching the past like 3 hours of this stream. because that's the whole point of cutting it as a news report. Good afternoon, or good morning, I should say, ladies and gentlemen. It is 10:09 a.m. on this hot, intense Tuesday, July 28th, 2026. It is 10:10 a.m. on Talamoose, youtube.com/Grant Smith Ellis, and I can tell you we have breaking news this morning. The intense battle brewing just in the past 24 hours between, is she the Stoughton police chief, Donna McNamara, is she not? And the town of Stoughton, along with its general manager, its town manager, is heading towards a short order of notice hearing on Friday, July 31st at 10 a.m. on the first floor of Norfolk Superior Court in front of the Honorable Rosemary Conley in person. After on Monday, it came out in a shocking civil complaint filed by Chief McNamara, okay, which was upwards of 59 pages with attachments. It came out that Chief McNamara, immediately after informing town council and the town manager of Stoughton about a ongoing and potentially expanding federal investigation into members active and former of the Stoughton Police Department in the context of the coming October 2026 federal trial for former Stoughton cop Matthew Farwell, who's accused by the federal government of, on February 1st, 2021, between 9:27 p.m. and 9:53 p.m. going to the apartment of Sandra Birchmore, who in 2014 was a young girl groomed by Farwell in the Police Explorers program in Stoughton that was run by then Deputy Chief Robert Devine and used allegedly by the federal government via Farwell to groom Sandra Birchmore into sexual relationships with, according to the federal government and internal affairs reports from Stoughton, at least Devine, Farwell, and Farwell's brother, William Farwell. Billy, who's now out in Nevada, having picked up a domestic violence charge in January of 2025, first reported by Ida Lee on X. Continuing, Chief McNamara alleges that as soon as she revealed that there are potentially expanding investigatory efforts by the FBI into law enforcement misconduct related to past and present members of the Stoughton Police Department, as soon as this was revealed in June 2026 by Chief McNamara, she was forced out of her job in the strangest form of misogynistic abuse that I've ever seen alleged in a civil complaint, being locked out of her office, threatened, told to resign even though she was not going to do so, and then having emails sent saying she voluntarily resigned just weeks ago in July of 2026 when she had not done so. Why is this so interesting? Well, because the Stoughton Police Department nor the Canton Police Department directly investigated Sandra Birchmore's murder after the first 48 hours. Why? Because on February 1st, 2021, as I mentioned, between 9:27 and 9:53 p.m., Matthew Farwell, according to the federal government, went to Sandra Birchmore's apartment with an unknown man watching him outside the door and allegedly hung Sandra Birchmore and her unborn baby boy, 8 to 10-week-old unborn baby boy, from a door in Sandra's Canton Woods apartment complex. Okay, then on February 4th, 2021, the Canton Police Department, with Kevin Albert, a name that comes up in the Karen Reed and John O'Keefe case, responding to Sandra's apartment for a wellness check, finding Sandra and her unborn baby dead, and then over 48 hours between February 4th and February 6th of 2021, the Canton Police Department collected 3 pieces of crucial evidence, according to a subsequent April 2025 audit of the Canton Police Department between pages 99 and 102. You can find that the Canton Police Department found evidence that Farwell was the man on security camera at the time of Sandra's death, that Farwell was the man who moved Sandra into her apartment a year earlier. Further, the Canton Police Department got evidence that Farwell was going around and telling people that if Sandra insisted on carrying her 8 to 10-week-old unborn baby boy to term, Farwell was going to, quote, take care of the problem himself. And further, there's allegedly evidence that Farwell was telling people that in text messages that he had been abusing Sandra since she was an underage child through the Police Explorers program. Well, That case gets turned over to none other than Brian Tully's State Police Detectives Unit that works for current Norfolk DA Michael Morrissey. Don't forget to vote in the September 1st, 2026 primary for Adam Deitch, who's running to take over the Morrissey machine and take these people down, in my opinion. He was the federal prosecutor who looked into some of these various investigatory shenanigans related to different cases that were investigated by the state police unit. Brian Tully's the detective lieutenant. His first officer is John Fanning. The sergeant of the unit is Yuri Buchanan. Below them are various men: Michael Proctor, Nick Guarino, Matt Duane, Connor Keefe, and others. Okay. John Fanning himself, who answers only to Brian Tully, writes the report for the state police completely exonerating Matthew Farwell regarding Sandra Birchmore's murder in 2021. John Fanning used to work as a cop in Stoughton before he went to the state police. And wouldn't you know it, Yuri Buchanan, who was the sergeant and third in command of that unit that wrote the report exonerating Farwell, also used to work as a cop in Stoughton. And what else came out, ladies and gentlemen, through the first Stoughton Internal Affairs report into the Sandra Birchmore cover-up? Someone had been texting Sandra, an unknown man, in the weeks before her death, threatening Sandra about money owed to the girls at a dorm suite that Sandra spent time at. Sandra lived alone in an apartment complex. She didn't live in a dorm suite, and there were no other girls there. Ladies and gentlemen, what was going on in the town of Stoughton? Furthermore, Chief McNamara revealed in her bombshell civil complaint released on Monday, July 27, 2026, that there was a second IA investigation of the cover-up of Sandra Birchmore's death and the role of the Stoughton police therein, and perhaps other police agencies, that was never made public because the town manager, who forced out Chief McNamara just this month, at the time in 2024, wouldn't let her publish that report. During the pendency of multiple criminal cases investigated by the state police unit that worked hand in hand with the Canton police to look into the cover-up of Sandra Birchmore's murder, and then covered it up. That unit, ladies and gentlemen, touched cases such as the John O'Keefe investigation, the Turtle Boy investigation, and God knows how other cases. And in 2024, right when that report was supposed to come out, that Chief McNamara was prevented from publishing, Karen Reed was about to go on trial for John O'Keefe's murder at the hands of the same unit whose misconduct may well be revealed in this second IA report into the Stoughton Police's handling of the Matthew Farwell investigation and the Sandra Birchmore cover-up, but no one knows because to this day it has not been made public. It's almost like in her civil complaint, Chief McNamara was saying to defense attorneys, go out there, ask for this IA report. It should have been given to you. It existed, and people covered it up. But it gets bigger, ladies and gentlemen, because in June of 2026, as I mentioned, Chief McNamara said to the town manager of Stoughton that she was cooperating with the FBI regarding upcoming trial prep for Matthew Farwell's October 5th, 2026 federal trial in front of Chief Judge Denise Casper at the Moakley Courthouse in Boston, which Towel News will have full wall-to-wall coverage of during the trial. No cameras allowed in court. That witness prep and further investigative steps taken by the FBI in June of 2026 confirmed to Chief McNamara that current and former members of the Stoughton Police Department were going to need to be subject to further investigation because of what the FBI is onto. That pairs up with a document released in the Matthew Farwell federal docket, indicating that as recently as April of 2026, federal law enforcement was doing investigations that involved interviews with local and state law enforcement in Massachusetts in preparation for the Farwell trial. So, to wrap it all up, not only does Chief McNamara allege that she was forced out under misogynistic circumstances and in retaliation for attempting to reveal to the public and the federal government the extent of the cover-up related to the Sandra Birchmore case and perhaps more, but Chief McNamara then moves for something called a preliminary injunction in short order of notice. This means that Chief McNamara is asking to be reinstated to her job by order of the court. It has exact parallels to the Shannon O'Brien situation at the Cannabis Control Commission when she was forced out, although it's a completely different standard when you're dealing with an independent regulatory body because you have to look at the Levy 1 and 2 decisions when you're talking about an independent regulatory body. But the point is the same. When someone is forced out of their position, they're entitled to an administrative remedy by the court in the form of an injunction or a motion for summary judgment, reinstating them to their position. Now, what's the difference between a short order of notice and a motion for a temporary injunction as opposed to a motion for summary judgment? A motion for summary judgment would see you permanently reinstated to your position. A motion for a TRO is a pre-trial motion where you're arguing that you're going to win on the merits, that the public interest weighs heavily in favor of you being granted the motion, and there's two other categories. It has to be an emergency, and you have to show irreparable harm. Like if you don't get reinstated, the harm that would accrue pending the final motion for summary judgment on your full complaint would be so prejudicial to you that it would weigh in your favor to grant the TRO. So a TRO is a higher standard, right? But it entitles you to the same relief, which is being reinstated to your position. Furthermore, Chief McNamara has asked for something called a short order of notice, which is why the endorsement on the motion scheduling the hearing for Friday, July 31st at 10 a.m. in Norfolk Superior Court is such a big deal, because that short order of notice compels the town of Stoughton and the town manager to get counsel immediately. It compels them to show up in Norfolk Superior Court, and that means judge is thinking that she needs to hear more information about the merits because there's a chance she's going to issue an order granting the TRO and reinstating the status quo, putting McNamara back in her position as chief, thus limiting the executive authority of the town manager. That's the stakes here. It's all going down Friday, July 31st, in what could be a sweltering atmosphere. You think you've seen intense in Norfolk Superior Court, ladies and gentlemen. Do not miss this Friday, 10 a.m., short order of notice. There may well be a Stoughton Select Board meeting tonight. All right, but everyone's eyes will turn to Norfolk Superior Court at 10 a.m., the first floor, courtroom 10, Friday morning, July 31st, 2026, 10 a.m. Because just having this short order of notice hearing granted, although it's not a ruling on the merits on the TRO, is an indication that judge did not like what she saw when she read the papers. And she ruled immediately, which means she thinks, in my opinion, judge does, every day that accrues with Chief McNamara in the position she's in now, not entitled to work and kept out of her police department, is causing undue prejudice and extreme harm. And the public interest here weighs heavily towards Chief McNamara, as does her ability to win on the merits. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, we may see Chief McNamara on short notice reinstated to her position as the chief of the Stoughton Police Department. You can see Judge Rosemary, let me get you the exact name, Judge Rosemary Conley, the Honorable Rosemary Conley, issuing an endorsement on the motion, July 27, 2026. And then let me just get you the exact wording. Endorsement on motion for a preliminary injunction. Summons and order of notice to issue, returnable July 31st, 2026 at 10 a.m. in person. And a hearing was thus scheduled. Will be there July 31st, 2026, 10 a.m. This is a big sign. This means judge is leaning towards granting this preliminary injunction and reinstating Chief McNamara. It's not a final ruling on the merits of the TRO. Certainly not a final ruling on the merits of the case, but a strong indication with 3 days notice on an emergency TRO that judge is thinking about putting Chief McNamara in to preserve the status quo. And, well, let's just say I wouldn't want to be the town of Stoughton in front of a female judge on these facts and this record with 48 hours to prepare. Good luck! My name is Grant Smith Ellis. You've been watching Tell News, and that was your breaking update about the situation regarding Stoughton Police Chief Donna McNamara's efforts to obtain a temporary injunction to return to her position, which will now be heard on an emergency basis on a hearing, as I mentioned, Friday, July 31st, 2026, Norfolk Superior Court, first floor, courtroom 10, in person only. This has been Grant Smith Ellis reporting for Tell News. Find more, youtube.com/@Grant Smith Ellis. Ellis. Support the channel via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal. Cash App's # Grant Smith Ellis. Venmo's at Grant-E1. PayPal is paypal.me/Grant Ellis. The goal of this channel is to provide free information to people regardless of their ability to pay for it. So if you want to help support those efforts, do consider helping me eat or otherwise today. This is a one-man operation, and your support makes it all possible. God bless you. Thank you for watching Towel News. I'm going to end this one-take recording now and go back to the live Towel News. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. Again, thank you for watching. How was that? That was a good one, right? I mean, you just gotta go in the booth and one take it. You see, that's what it's all about. They were good. I thought they were pretty good. Did you all feel that was a pretty apropos summary? I gotta get ready to do other things now. But what, didn't you all feel that was a pretty good summary? I thought that went well. I mean, when you watch Towel News, sometimes you gotta watch it at like 0.5 speed, because I speak at like 280 to 300 words per minute. But, you know, overall, I can pack a lot of information in there. Now, I gotta write it up. You want to see me write it up? Fine. Fine. I'll show you how I do it. So you go like this. Hey, that's our IRGC menu. We can watch that in a second. He can yell at us. Okay, breaking news. Oh, hold on. Actually, I probably shouldn't do it that way. Probably should do it this way. Watch this. Oh, but I want to watch Mr. IRGC Bayard. He probably has fascinating things to say. Okay, we can watch that after I write it up. I think me writing this up is more important. But I like Mr. IRGC Bayard. He's hilarious. Okay, so I'm going to go here. Okay, I'm going to grab this. Okay, actually, you know what I should do? Should I grab the whole report? Yeah, I probably should. Okay, let me just grab the whole thing. Okay. Okay, and then I'm going to go down here. This is going to be all annoying. Okay, so you do this, right? Then you do this. Someone said I made quoting my own posts on Twitter an art form, and that's kind of true. Alright, so then I got the whole, hold on, it doesn't always do this right. Whenever you have a username in a post that you copy, it always breaks the formatting. Makes me all made. Alright, now I'll show you how I write, okay? Breaking. Has been granted an extraordinary short order of notice hearing that will take place this Friday, July 31st at 10 a.m. on the first floor of Norfolk Superior Court in an effort to retain her position after she alleges she was forced out for trying to cooperate with the FBI about the cover-up of Sandra Birchmore's murder, which in turn involves multiple current and former members of the Stoughton Police Department. Chief McNamara will in turn be able to make oral arguments to, what's her name? The Honorable Rosemary Conley. The Honorable, you always want to make sure you got the judge's name right. That under the 4-factor TRO test in Massachusetts, what's the word? McNamara should be put back in her job via court order pending the final disposition of McNamara's current civil lawsuit filed Monday against the town of Stoughton. Alright, let's see. Okay, I gotta finish up this stream because I have things to do. So let me get this done. I have food I gotta get. I have towel girlfriends to talk to, and I have like 13 minutes until my next thing. So let's get this done quickly. Hold on. So I have 11 minutes. McNamara alleges her new lawsuit was constructively dismissed under false pretext by the Stoughton town manager, not constructively. Because McNamara was a woman, and also because McNamara would not stay silent about a 2024 IA investigation into the cover-up of Sandra's death. Further, as I reported on Monday, McNamara alleges in June of 2026 she told the Stoughton town manager that the FBI trial prep leading up to Matthew Farwell's October 2026 trial for Sandra's murder and the murder of Sandra's unborn 8 to 10 week old baby boy would require McNamara to expand investigations into the aforementioned current and former members of the Stoughton PD. On Monday, I reported as such. I reported the following. All right, done. Done. How you like the ham apples? Is that not how you spell Buchanan? Yeah, it is. All right, then what you do is you grab this, okay? Okay, and then I also want to upload judge's order. So what I'm going to do is go over here. And that's how you write something up. So I think a lot of people, I understand why there's like you can feel the pull to use AI for this stuff. Don't. You will be a better writer if you just do it. Just write. That didn't come from me studying the 5-paragraph form or anything like that. That came from just writing a lot over the years. So I just write. Okay. So that's what you got to do. Just write a lot. Yeah, I'm uploading the legal document now, and then what I have to do is you set it to public, like judge's endorsement. You set it to public, and then you click share. So it just uploaded, and I have like, how long, like 2 minutes? I have like 10 minutes. And then you click copy. Read judge's order granting that hearing on short notice. Here. Read judge's order in the, hold on. Hello, I'm a Tao. Alright, I got 6 minutes. Then I gotta be a Tao. In the here, judge's order is an endorsement on the motion, and also the hearing is on the Mass Court's docket for Friday. Okay. Okay. And then we go over to mass courts, and then just grab the case number just to make it easier for my media colleagues. And then there you go, we're done. Good job, everyone. Thank you all for supporting Towel News. I really got to go now. I got stuff to do. I love you all dearly. I appreciate your support. This is only a break for now. We'll be back together soon. That was very good breaking news. It all tied together well. Thank you for watching this coverage. Thank you for being you. God bless you all. We'll do Tippecanoe and Tyler 2 very quickly, but I really got to go. This is where we go through the presidents at the end of the stream to test my mental acuity. President Washington, President Adams, President Jefferson, President Madison, President Monroe, President Adams Jr., President Jackson, President Van Buren, William Henry Harrison. I don't know 10. Then it's Tippecanoe and Tyler 2, so it's going to be Polk, Taylor. Then it's going to be Millard Fillmore at 13. Pierce Buchanan, Lincoln Johnson, Grant Rutherford B. Hayes, Garfield, Chester A. Arthur, Cleveland, Harrison, Cleveland, McKinley, Teddy Roosevelt, William Howard Taft, Woodrow Wilson, Harding, Coolidge, Hoover, FDR, Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush 1, Clinton, Bush 2, Obama, Trump, Biden, Trump. How do you like them apples? My name is Grant Smith Ellis. God bless you all. I'm sorry I can't say thank you to everyone. You all got your GOAT videos. Thank you for becoming a member, Tara Bico. What an interesting ending to the stream. I gotta go be a towel now. God bless you all. Thank you for watching Towel News. Look for a reason to do a small act of service or kindness for people around you today. Thank you for supporting this public information service. Thank you for being you. Be well out there. Stay safe. I love Towel Girlfriend dearly. I think you're all wonderful. You're all towels. And have a wonderful break. We'll see each other again soon. This was just supposed to be like an hour or two read through. We ended up breaking news together. I clipped it live. I cut it live. It was great. All right. Be well. Thank you for being you. Talk to you again soon. Signing off for now, but not forever. Grant Smith Ellis for Towel News. Don't forget, you can support via the donation links in chat. Feel free to join the Discord. Feel free to be a nice person. Remember, there's 182 countries here. And also, Triple Bob is going to get my paintings back. All right, gotta go. I adore you all. God bless you. Be well.